Hey everybody, we have another Eagle's Nest video here. We have today a tier list, and I have some special guests with me. We have Kupo, Marshmallow,
Hello.
and Vpassion. So I'll let you
Hi.
guys each introduce yourselves.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Kupo. My name is Aaron Dodd, but I go by Kupo. Play pretty regularly in Eagles. Maybe not so much this format yet, but I like to do like the off meta kind of stuff. That's kind of what I'm known for. And yeah, so I'll be primarily talking for a lot of the decks that a lot of people are not seeing super popular at the time. But yeah.
I will just say that's a very humble self-description because you have already played every single deck in the new BT25 format. So uh, you've definitely did get your experience. Uh, we do have Marshmallow here. Marshmallow, some words
Hey
about
guys, it's
yourself.
me again. I was here before, here again. YouTube channel, Marshmallow Ruffian. Play some Digimon, do some stuff, talk about my regionals and that stuff. And I'm eating French fries right now, so that's chill.
And yeah, Marshmallow has his own YouTube, and he's a nationals player. Uh, he also likes to play the more difficult decks that challenge him. So he's got
That's not
experience
true.
with a variety of decks.
I only play meta tier one stuff. Don't lie, please.
All right, another very humble person, and we have V Passion. How's it going?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having us, Michael. V Passion here. Yeah, just lover of Digimon. Um, Obsessive with decks I choose to pick, and once I have picked the deck, just dive hard deep into it and just play it as much as I can. Same with Marshmallow. Brewing up my YouTube channel too, so hoping to make more appearances and be a part.
And I'll just say about Passion, he's a unique breed of dangerous. He'll pick a deck that nobody thinks is good, and he'll win multiple tournaments back to back with them. So he just shows players that don't write off a deck just because it's not popular, because any deck could be made to work. All right, let's start with
Kupo.
this tier
Oh,
list.
I wanted to.
Hey,
If we're
you go
plugging
ahead.
channels, I'll say that I do have some videos uploaded on DigiGalaxy Gaming. You
Nice.
mentioned that like I played every deck in BT25. That is the most recent video that I've uploaded there. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out too.
I was gonna ask Kupo, how do you feel about being considered humbled as our tag and then V Passion got dangerous? What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, humility means that there's a lot of room to grow.
That's true, I'll take that with me.
Dangerous is unpredictable and volatile.
Yeah.
All right, so just to explain the tier list here, we have the S tier. These decks are so good that they will carry you. If you are struggling, maybe switch to these decks. You can improve your win rate a lot. High power are the better decks in the format. They're not so good or broken, we could say, that they're going to carry you, but they are the decks that are popular and they are winning. Balanced would be the decks that maybe used to be high power in an older format, but they've come down a bit. They are what people consider fair decks. Nobody's raging when they have to go up against a balanced deck. A mid deck, probably one of the lower power levels. You're gonna have to get a good matchup to win with these decks or high roll. And Greymon tier, F tier, these are decks that you shouldn't be playing in competitive. If you're just a fan of the archetype, keep it in your collection, but don't bring it to a tournament if you care about getting a top placement. All right, so the first deck that we have here is the Aldemon, which represents Red Hybrid. There's quite a few variants of Red Hybrid, but just consider that all of them have Aldemon in them. Where would you guys put Aldemon here? I,
Mm,
in my
it's kind
opinion,
of like
I think it's a B tier, but what do you guys think?
I was gonna say like B or A probably, right? Like Red Hybrid hasn't done much, I think, since it's come out. But I mean, the Ultimate was obviously such a huge power increase that it's hard to say the deck is bad.
Red Hybrid has a history of being a deck that newer players would flock to get easy wins because previously in the past you can just overpower your opponent with the pure speed that the deck offers, but it doesn't offer super complicated lines of play to like extend past turn three. But that's changed with the introduction of the 81 cards. It kind of gives the deck a whole lot more reach than it used to have, and some more combo plays than it used to have. So it definitely has pushed the deck a lot further. And in the 81 format, it was pretty strong. So I agree, and it probably should either be at the top of B or at the bottom of A. I still think the deck is very high power, but the introduction of more tamer deletion kind of hurts the deck. But the thing is, they don't care as much because they could play their tamers from trash. So they're pretty resilient to tamer removal as long as they don't lose all their tamers.
What do you think, V Passion?
I think if it was AD1 format, I would say high power, but now that we're in BT25, I would put down high end of balance.
Hmm.
Agree with what Kupo said too. Now there's more variety of lines you can set up with, but somehow in this format, it doesn't feel as explosive as it did.
Yeah.
Since AD.
Yeah. It's top of B.
It is crazy that it does feel a little slow compared to what it used to be back in the day, but yeah.
We have one of the best decks in the format, Beat Break, led by a Tratus top end. We got next coming up after that, we'll have a Akiri Beat Break, but where do you guys put the Tratus version of Beat Break?
I think once you put in the time to learn all the lines of the deck and don't misplay, it should go into. I think it's pretty S tier. This deck is pretty strong, but you need to actually know how the mechanics work, right? Arts Digivolve is the new thing, so you need to not misplay into your opponent's immediate effects, interruptive effects, and get caught off with that, like in the middle of using your option effect. But if you learn the lines, this deck has basically every tool you want, and it has the ability to gain rush, which is one of the strongest things in the entire game. So I think it needs to go into S tier. It's really popular for a reason.
I would agree that it's S tier as long as you practice it. I agree with that assessment because the deck doesn't necessarily carry you. There are a lot of sequencing decisions to make, and there are misplays that could make you miss your timing. So you have to get the deck down, but probably would only take maybe 10 or 15 hours of practice, unlike some other decks that might take more practice. So it's not the hardest deck to even learn, and it's got a good payoff. What do you
Yeah,
guys
I mean,
think?
I was just gonna say, I think I disagree only slightly in the sense of the deck can't carry you because it's too difficult. I think the deck is very simple with like the just generic lines that it has available to it. There's obviously like a high ceiling to it, but I think the floor is also really high. Like you can pick up the deck and play it very easily, very comfortably, and it will do very well into most decks in the format.
Yeah, I agree too. I think as a starter deck, and if you're a newer player, it can carry you. And once you put in the time and the work, you can carry it too. So putting it in S tier feels correct.
Okay, and then we have the Habakiri Beat Break. Is this guy just as good as a Tratus? Is it better than a Tratus? Or is it like a tier below Tratus? Where do you guys think it is?
I'll give my take first because I'm the one I think who has the least experience playing the deck, and I have a good amount of experience playing against it. Whenever I see the Atratus version, I'm a little bit more worried, whereas the Habakiri version doesn't scare me as much. I'm not sure if that's like a true statement, and maybe just the decks that I play, but that's just how it feels to me, at least.
So the Habakiri version needs more combo pieces in order to do a full OTK, but it can full OTK you 5-0. So it never actually needs to go in and do a chip. Whereas Atratus, you can, if you chip once, you can do 4 checks with Atratus and then play out a guy and give it rush and swing for game. Habakiri can actually just win from 5-0, but it needs a little bit more setup. In the early stages of BT25, I think everyone's gravitating toward Atratus because it just says immune to Digimon effects. But in this format, option removal is incredibly widespread. So, and Atratus one has no protection against an option-based removal, whereas Habakirimon does. So there's resilience there. But if you fight Habakiri against Atratus, Atratus wins. So it's this really odd interaction of Habakiri is better into other decks that focus on option removal and can OTK 5-0, but Atratus is kind of more balanced across the board. So I think they're both. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a beat break based deck, so it still has all the strengths. It's just what are you choosing to focus on. So I think it should go in the same tier. It's a different focus.
I've played against Beat Break, and whenever they get the Habakiri out, it's always a sigh of relief. Whereas when they get the Atratus out, it's like, okay, I'm dead next turn unless something happens here. So yeah, I don't think the Habakiri is as scary for me to see. What do you think, Passion? Do you agree it's A, or would you put it as a lower S?
I think at the moment I would put it in A, since for me, Stratus, he feels a bit more solved, and his power and dominance is there clearly. Yeah, Apagiri, same thing. When I see him out, it's a sigh of relief because you have so much more Digimon removal effects than you do um, against option effects. I
Mhm.
think in the game, yeah,
Yeah,
they're like
options are in the game, but they're not highly common. People are starting to force them into their decks because of the problems with Atratus, and we'll also talk about Atmon, but mostly Atratus is a problem in the meta, so people are trying to answer it with options, but it's not like options are um, widespread right now. They're just people are beginning to adopt them into their deck. Then we have Beelstar. Beelstar. I think we have a resident Beelstar player here. Kupo, do you want to go first on this one?
I think Veilstar is incredibly high power deck, at least, if not S tier.
So would you put it at S tier? Do you think Beelstar could win a regionals, or do you think that it could only just maybe top 8 a regional? What do you think?
I think it absolutely could win.
Is
It
it?
could absolutely win.
Would you
But
say
the
it's
thing is,
above the Atratus build?
I don't think so.
It does
I
have
don't know if it's
options
above.
to contend. It's like probably the smartest deck to. If you think Atratus is the number one deck, Beelstar is probably the best counter to it. Right?
So the thing is, by definition of the tier, Beelstar is not going to carry you. The deck is not. The deck is incredibly strong, but you need to know what you're doing.
Mhm.
Just learning like one simple line is not going to get you there.
Would
It's
you
such a
say
hard
then?
deck to play. It's such a hard deck to play.
Yeah.
Would you
It
say
is
then
the
it's
power.
sorry? Would you play that it's a high power deck, but it's just in the right position given the meta to take on the top decks?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Yeah, it is. It is 100%. Like it has all the tools you need to win. It basically trashes all your opponent's security, so it doesn't even really check security. It's not an easy deck to play properly. If you just push out and lose your stack without doing enough or setting up the stack to have some sort of other payoff, you might just lose the game with the speed of the format. But you are playing a bunch of options, so your security has a much higher likelihood of just removing your opponent's Digimon for free. So it's very good. It's very up there. The Black Gatomon and the BT25 Asuna really push the deck uh, to new heights.
How
But purely
about
for the sake of saying that it's not easy to play, I think I can't put it in S tier. It's not. You need to put a lot of time into this deck, but you can get the payoff.
V Passion? Do you have any insights on the Beelstar?
Yeah, I think it's really resilient. Even if you do lose your stack, your Asunas bring back your Black Gato, and your Black Gato can either, just warp from trash or hand again back into Beelstar. And that to me, any deck that can reoccur once you lose your stack is built in high power. And yeah, it would be between S and A here. Um, I don't know if it can carry you in a sense where you just autopilot, since there's a lot of, variabilities to consider during your interactions. So
Hmm.
high power goes right, like top of top high
And
power.
I would say whereas people like Atratus is warping the meta, Beelstar is an answer to that meta. It's not really the one warping the meta itself. Okay, so then we have Central from Puppets, just to represent all the Puppet variant builds. Where do you guys put Puppets now? It used to
I'm a
be
big
very
puppet
high
hater,
up, but
bro.
I think it's fallen off. So what?
I've always been a puppet hater. I think that when people say it's like really good, I'm always like, it's fine. I think it's a balanced deck. It's never been. I think most of the
Maybe
Liberator
you
decks
would
have
even put
always
it at
been.
mid because you're not really that
I think
impressed with
yes,
it.
I do. I want to put it mid, but I understand it's probably more
No,
balanced
no,
than
no.
mid.
Yeah,
It's definitely
it's
balanced.
it's absolutely at least balanced, if not also an A. We
Right.
just don't have any puppet specialists that want to push the deck, but I've seen So the reason why it cannot be higher is because the primary game plan that it does can just be done better with a different deck that we're going to talk about later. Uh, so the bit of uniqueness that it had and its ability to like spam the board and then represent lethal the following turn is kind of what most decks in the format are already doing, but slightly better.
Okay. Vpassion, you have any insight on Central or Puppet?
I think Puppets has a harder time this format too. With again, my favorite card, Dianamon. It just you just come out with it, and it unable to alliance. And if you're Puppets and you push out and you don't get to finish turn, it's pretty rough too. So
I knew I
Yeah,
liked something about UV
I
Passion.
I
Just couldn't tell what it was.
I would
what you guys say?
say the deck is mid now, but I mean there's
I
some
wouldn't say mid.
disagreement over balanced or mid, so I guess we leave it at balanced.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd be
Okay.
at the bottom probably of balance.
We have Sarismon. I've never even seen this deck
This
played.
is an F tier deck, right? For sure.
I've never seen
No,
this deck played. You guys are gonna have to lead on this one. Where do we put Sarismon slash Bacchusmon?
it's pretty mid.
It's
It's
mid?
pretty mid.
Okay.
It's pretty mid. It's not bad. The problem is there is option removal. So the thing is, if you play this is essentially Neo Bloomlord. So any Bloomlord players that really enjoy playing that kind of deck, they will really like playing this kind of deck because it's the same exact game plan, except you not only have damage, but you have interruption on the opponent's turn.
Mhm.
And your board is going to be immune to Digimon effects. So that's like kind of everything you'd want. You have a big wide board that's immune to Digimon effects, and you have redirect. The problem is Digimon immunity is just not good enough. Because being immune to Digimon effects doesn't mean that you can't be hit over, and we have really big DP numbers this format, and we have option removal to just ignore your immunity, right? And if they use an option to remove the Sarismon stack or the Bacchusmon stack, a lot of the interruption that you were expecting to have on the opponent's turn is now gone. So it really just depends on, are you playing into a deck that has option removal or not?
Yeah, I would
And
say
if you're
like
not, then it has a pretty solid game plan.
this deck, I think if it came out last format, like BT24, it would have had a solid niche for what it could do because of how I think there wasn't too much Digimon immunity in the format. There wasn't super like go wide aside from the other Minerva TS deck, so there's already like a slot that it can kind of fit in very well. The reason I think it's kind of an F tier deck right now is I just don't think it does anything notable other than the one saving grace, which is it has interaction on your opponent's turn, which I think is something that if your deck has it, immediately gives it question for like playability.
Mr. Vpassion, do you agree C tier?
Yeah, but I could also see it if we had Rogue tier too. I guess if mid is being folded or Rogue is being folded into mid, I can see it catching people by surprise.
Okay. Then we have Royal Knights. So Royal Knights is one of my decks, also one of Vpassion's decks. I think the deck it used to be S, and then it fell to A, and now it's not even B anymore because I don't see anybody attempting it. There are lots of ways to play Royal Knights. You could play the pure version of Royal Knights. You could play a tax version. You could play a Omni-Zoo version. But regardless what you play, the deck suffers from compared to what other decks can do, it suffers from consistency. And there are very obvious gameplay moves that you're going to make, and because you're tucking your Royal Knights into the stack, you're telling your opponent what's coming up soon. So I would say I would say it's somewhere between F, it's not playable, or it's just a mid tier kind of like Sarismon. What do you guys think?
Yeah, sadly on my end too, I think it's definitely fallen off due to just more and more things coming out. Like first you had the Venus, then the Neptune, and now
I
again we
mean,
have Diana.
once you
And
see a Venus on board, you're automatically F for that game, right? It's
yeah,
like
and then our newest strategy, as of a monthish ago, was relying on the Leopard Ace Turbo with the Omega, but then now we suffer from just having more Ace vulnerabilities, so it just made the deck even more slowish in a way with those added vulnerabilities that yeah doesn't answer much more of the,
Uh,
the
And the
meta.
Marshmallow and Kupo, even though you guys are not really Roll Knight players, do you guys agree it could be F, or you guys think the deck is not really that bad?
Hey, Roll
In
Nice
this,
players. Don't worry, you're getting new support at some point. We
yeah, you're
believe.
in BT13 waiting room, or not
Okay.
BT13,
EX.
EX13,
Yeah.
EX13 waiting room.
All right.
Someday you'll
Go
be
with
saved again.
All right. And
then
then
putting
go
it
ahead.
in F.
Then we have the two best of buddies coming up next. We have Ex Machinamon and Vortex Dramon. Let's do the Ex Machinamon first.
All
Kupo,
right, Kupo.
you put your time
Yeah.
into this deck. What do you think? Lead us on this conversation.
Man, I really want this deck to be good, but the thing is, it was missing its emblem in the format that it came out in.
Hmm.
And now that it has unique emblem, it pushes the deck a little bit further, but the game has advanced beyond that.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be serious. I didn't even know its emblem
So
came out. That's crazy. I thought its emblem was still in the waiting room.
no, 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 no. We have emblem now. So it's cool, and but the thing is, it's a little late, unfortunately. I think its whole entire game plan of like can't be de-digied, can't be source stripped, and all that. It still can be stunned though. It can still be stunned, and its primary win condition is still pretty bad into every TS deck.
So would you have
So
said that
it's
back in EX11 it was A, but now it's fallen to something else?
no, I wouldn't even say it was A in EX11.
So it used
But
to be
if it
balanced, but
had
now it's
It,
mid?
it was never
if
A. It was always mid, in my opinion.
if it got its emblem in EX11
Hmm.
when it came out, like if when the deck came out, it came out completely with emblem, then maybe. But no, it did not, and
It
it got emblem like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So it's just a little too late for the deck, unfortunately. And unless the game changes or the deck gets even more support, which is pretty unlikely. I
yeah,
don't think. I
doesn't
think the
seem
deck will
likely.
always be this rogue thing that will surprise some people.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, it's not immune. So like, let's just say like against Beat Break, right? Like by going up their line into a Tratismon, they'll eat two of Ex Machina's removals, and then by that point, if they have any DP buffs, they can potentially be bigger. If they have like Monarch Luzamon
Hmm.
plus like Tamer 3k DP buff, they'll be bigger. And then they'll also be immune to Digimon effects, so Ex Machina will only at end of turn trash like one security and can't even bottom deck the Atratus. And then you're kind of in a sticky situation.
Well, I don't feel like the deck is F, so I'm gonna hold the
No,
line
no,
on
no.
that. But
It is pretty mid. It's pretty mid. I wouldn't say it's on the level of Red Hybrid or
it's
Syndra or
not there.
anything.
Okay. V Passion, any closing
Yeah, yeah.
comments on Ex Machina?
Nope. I
Nope.
think Kubo covered it all.
All right, let's go to his best friend now, Vortex Dramon. It'd be pretty funny if he's right next to him, but where do you guys think Vortex
I,
is?
I actually think Vortex is still better, even in a format filled with option cards. I think Vortex can still play because if you don't play against a deck that has option removal, you're still the big bad dragon that says you can't fight me, and I'm still bigger than everything. And
Uh,
it did get some support with
mhm.
BT25 Daramon. So
Would you
now it
say
has.
it's better in the same tier, or a whole tier better, or multiple tiers better?
I think it is better than the Sarismon deck.
But
Brackus
not
Sarismon.
not puppet slash hybrid level. Or yes.
I'm vetoing it. If it goes up B, it has to stay at mid tier. It's not better than mid, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's like the best deck in mid tier. It still does what it's been doing. You know, it's still a boogeyman deck. It's just there's so many more ways to out it now than there was last format, and there was still a pretty decent amount of ways to out it last format. And the new Daramon gives it a boost, but it's not a big enough boost to overcome the hurdle, the new hurdles.
Okay. Do we have anything else to say about Vortex, or should we move on?
Question for Kupo: do you Monarch leaves them on in Vortex? Is that a thing at all or no?
I don't think so. Maybe like the problem is there it's completely not searchable, right? It's not a bird or anything. So if you're playing it like as a one of tech card, you may never see it. Even if you do see it, the only like real use that you're going to get out of it is its ability to give one of your Digimon rush, right? So
Hmm.
like you could potentially like scramble
Yeah.
out like while going up the line, you play out a body for free, right? You can Final Judgment to give that body sec +1 rush to like get the one more swing, but I don't think that difference is going to make up for um, just the prevalence of ability to remove vortex. I think actually because option removal is so prevalent, you shouldn't even focus on vortex Dramon as much anymore, because you're going to invest so much memory into getting into him for your opponent to just, if they have it, like just not even care, right? They don't even change their line of play, and they'll go into to remove it. I think the deck needs the Zafaga dual card now. It needs the Zafaga dual card now, and then maybe we could talk about it. But
That'll be
unfortunately, we're
coming
not
in
going to
like
get that till
November.
August. I think it's August when those cards come out.
The
So
LM9.
is it? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
so.
in November.
In November.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
by November we're going to be in BT26, so probably not.
Grace Nova, Grace Nova best deck, right? Everybody's gonna play it.
I mean, it's very good.
I mean,
It is very
it's
good.
not lower than Abe. Okay, so I think everybody here has played
Ooh.
the deck except for me. I've played against it, but where do you guys put the deck? Is it like meta
It's
defining?
so no.
Is it able to beat the meta defining deck? Where you
Okay, okay. I'll give as much of a nuanced take as I possibly can, which is I think the deck is really cool. It's got a lot more power than I think people initially gave it. I think that again,
Oh, hold
I
on.
mentioned this during
I said it was
Ceres.
really good at the beginning, remember?
I feel like a lot of people really discounted the deck because everyone's like, "Oh, this is just worse Omnimon. This is just worse than like the typical Omnimon stuff that you could be playing." Which is, it's kind of true. The lower end is worse, but the top end has something that I think most other decks don't have. It's one of the reasons why I gave Ceres some props, which is that it has interaction on your opponent's turn, which is very difficult, I think, for decks to have in a way that is capable of you controlling. I think another like top deck up here that has interaction on your opponent's turn is the Beelstar deck with Gumdramon, being able to just like trash your options and then get their effects while protecting yourself. But that's only able to be used whenever your opponent triggers it for you. Whereas the Dianamon in the deck, it says on play or when digivolving for any of your Digimon, for any of your opponent's Digimon, it's all turns effect. You can trash 4 of their sources, which can matter because of the Diana effect to just stun their board. But then you can go immediately into a Grace Nova, which is then a bottom deck, which then gives you protection with partition and stuff like that. Like it's a very powerful trap you can set for your opponent, and it kind of like binds them in a very unique way. I think the problem with the deck is all of the stuff around it, which is why I think people gave it the lack of power or the harsh judgment they did initially. As I've tested it a little bit more, I'm not sure how Kupo and Be Passionate felt because I think we've all actually played this deck a good amount. The TS engine is just so good at making things. It's just so good at making things work that I feel like Grace Nova is actually in a good spot. I don't know if it's A, but it is at least B in my opinion.
Oh, wow. As the
It
person who's
is.
played the deck the most, you're not even saying it's A. I'm surprised. Okay.
It has a
So
lot of weaknesses,
l
unfortunately.
let's hear it from Kupo, because I think like timeline wise, he was the second person out of the four of us to play this deck. So Kupo, where do you put this
I
deck?
I think it's the same thing. I think the deck is more carried by the TS engine than the cards itself, even though the cards itself are very good. Like the threes, fours, and fives are pretty underwhelming. They all just exist to try and ping pong your way up. It's kind of like just Alter S 2.0, minus the immunity part.
Okay.
But you trade it for a little bit of interaction. But I think the deck is more. It's just carried by the TS engine more than the words on the cards themselves. But the TS engine is very strong, and Marshmallow pointed out like there are some unique strengths that this deck has, primarily from Diana. But the issue is Diana isn't locked to this deck, right? You can put
Yeah,
Diana in every
exactly.
you can put Diana in
Uh,
every TS deck.
and also it
Um,
hard counters this deck as well because you can just stun the Grace Nova and it's no longer a problem ever again. So
yeah, yeah. So
Right.
I agree with Marshmallow. It's either top of B or bottom of A.
Well, then we have V Passion who started playing this deck, and as I said in the introduction, he just wins with decks that people thought weren't going to win. So what do you think, V Passion?
Yeah, way initially, my thought was like mid because you have that mirror reflection of Ping Pong Ami, like gets it evil for free or whatnot. But after actually trying the deck out myself, I would put it in balance. with again Diana just being so phenomenal. This deck, I think the strength it has is it can clear your opponent's board in so many different ways, do its check, and set up the Diana, Diana uh, aura effect, and then you have one chance of one free choice of bot decking an opponent's Digimon when they play or push out. And if your opponent's deck can work around that, and this deck will struggle. But if they can't, you essentially set up, a checkmate turn. So uh, being in balance for sure. It's not high power. It still needs, the biggest choice is whether you DNA into Grace and end turn with Grace, or you leave the two bodies to set up the Grace to bot deck something on your opponent's turn. So yeah,
It is very matchup dependent on that.
What I
yeah.
have to say about it is the deck is very good at toolboxing, whereas you can put in a variety of TS cards, and then the Grace Nova support itself is also has a diverse amount of control. But the issues with the deck is you're always giving your opponent a lot of memory when you want to set up your Apollo and Dianamon, and then you're always giving them one more turn to react. So it feels like it's a fair deck that you're playing against, but it's like a high-powered fair deck, so I would say it is balanced, but it's not a high-powered deck, it's a high-powered fair deck. So I would agree it's balanced like you guys.
I also actually I want to add one more quick thing, which is a positive for the deck. I don't think I've ever played a deck that is so consistently able to do its line and then do it again the turn after if your opponent outs it, and then do it again the turn after if your opponent outs it. Like you're able to do it every single turn after you start getting the pieces. You're really set up.
All right, and then we have Huddy, the terror of like nationals. Everybody was preparing for this card back in February. Now, after a Shakuman hit, I maybe that Shakuman hit by the point of this deck coming out because we have all this new stuff. Maybe it wasn't even necessary, but I think the Shakuman hit really crippled the deck. Where do you guys put Huddy now in BT25?
They had to hit the Shaka one because imagine Teapot OTK having an extra Shaka one.
Oh yeah, well the
Disgusting.
Shaku was maybe hit for multiple reasons rather than only for Huddy. But where do you guys see the Huddy deck now?
Fine.
I think it's been balanced now.
Yeah.
Is it
It's
balanced?
still, I mean, now they just have to play the deck the way the Bandai intended, which is still really strong. It still has its bounce Chitose, play out of body, play Ryuji, play options for free on opponent's turn as well.
Mhm. Yeah, playing options sounds like
Now,
a pretty good counter to the meta, though.
yeah. So like they have the toolbox to deal with the format. They have the Wormmon now that they're no longer allowed to do the abused Shakomon loop anymore. Now they're playing the Wormmon to basically hybrid Evo on top of Erica, or tuck the Erica to Evo on the Wormmon into the Huddy from trash. So they have some new ways to be aggressive. It's a mid range deck. It really
Oh, it's
the,
mid.
the one the
Mid
one
as in
pro
balanced mid, or
no
mid
no
as
no no
in
no
not?
no 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 it's a mid range like aggressive kind of
Okay,
strategy. I think it's balanced because it's the strength of this deck is its ability to not put any Digimon on the field. Honestly, it's there's not
right,
really many other decks that have the ability to push out, do damage, do all their plays, and end their board with no Digimon on the board, which means that a lot of tamers in the format
gain memory.
don't actually gain any memory. Like the Beat Break tamers, other than the memory setter, all their tamers require your opponent to have a Digimon to gain memory. Huddy can completely deny that. I think the same is for Medusa, and for a lot of like, there's so many decks that are just like, if your opponent has a Digimon, gain a memory, and Huddy can deny all of them because they'll just bounce all their Digimon back, put one
Right,
back in raising, and then just say, okay, come at me.
right. That's a very frustrating thing to play against when you do rely on those effects. So yeah, Huddy has always had a niche where they take advantage of not needing to turn on your opponent's abilities. Marshmallow and V Passion, what do you guys think?
I mean, I don't have much else to add. I'll just say it's really cool that they've tried to take some of the TS engine stuff, like the Sylphiamon, and add to the deck. I think it's cute that the deck is super survivable like that, and I'm glad there's a lot of players that still like it because I think it's just one of the coolest decks released prior to BT25. There are more decks I like more now, but I think it was a really cool deck, and I'm sad to see it shot and killed.
Yeah, with the DNA Shackle Gun, it just opens up other rooms for other tech plays, and agree with a lot of what Kupo said already. Being able to push out, withdraw. Erica's really strong. Yeah, balance is right.
Okay. Jesmon. Jesmon used to be a great deck maybe 2 years ago. Now it got support. It kind of fell off. It hasn't really gotten any support for a while, but it's a very popular archetype. Is Jesmon still playable these days?
No.
No.
Does this
Would you
one go in
say
Greymon tier?
is it
No,
Greymon tier?
it's not.
Avoid?
Okay, okay, we're not putting it
Does
below
this one?
fucking Vortex. Okay, it's not bad, but it's not good anymore. Like, put some respect on some old timer. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, so it depends on. So if you're playing like the whole Genku Turtle version of the deck, I don't think that version of the deck is able to play anymore.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean,
There's
if you
too
want
many.
Digimon immunity, you can just get that
There's
fucking anywhere now.
like the Genku Turtle version of Jesmon, which is what I assume every time I see it. I always just assume that because that's just the more popular version to play the deck. It's not the only way, obviously. You can play like the pure red with Omni X and try to OTK. I think that version's mid. I think if you're trying to play Genku Turtle, there's just so many other decks in the game that have Digimon immunity now. So why are you slamming a guy for 6 or 8 to give your board immunity when you can play Sarismon?
Mm-hmm.
It's and yeah, and it doesn't really have interaction on the opponent's turn unless your opponent attacks into you and then you can ace, right? But like, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the strengths of this deck in the Turtle Genku version are just strictly better if you play Sarismon or just any other deck that has the ability to gain Digimon immunity. But
Passion. Do you
yeah.
want to have last word?
Just if I had to put it, it would be unfortunately like very low end of mid or on the verge of F until he gets some new
Mm-hmm.
love.
So it's not that
Yeah.
it's unplayable, but you're not going to have a easy time at all playing this deck against all the other stronger decks.
It's an EX13 waiting room.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Jupiter. Oh man, everybody said Jupiter was going to be a horrible deck because Medusa was in the meta. Were they ever wrong? Where's Jupiter?
Who said that?
Dude, everybody said that. Like, where were you? Okay, Jupiter, the guy that trashes his own security and leaves himself open to be killed by every other deck, right? But is that reality? I don't think so. The deck is actually super strong. All of us have played into Jupiter or played as Jupiter. So where do you guys put the deck?
You could just say we all played into V Passion at some point. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
I mean, but that's the V Passion bias, okay? So if V Passion was not playing Jupiter Mon, would it be? It wouldn't be S tier, okay? So
I
like,
mean, yeah, that's probably true.
it,
I mean, I think the average Jupiter player is not. Jupiter's just a really hard deck to pilot. I put it in
yeah,
the same tier as like Beelstar, where it's like an
it's
extremely strong deck. It's
the
just
deck
hard to
does
make use of.
the deck does not carry you. It needs a good pilot. So and
Put it
it
right next to Yellstar. It's
yeah.
this. It's they're basically like two sides of the same coin.
So we're just glazing V Passion. V Passion as the actual Jupiter Mon player here. Where do you put the deck?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he definitely doesn't carry you. He's in high power just because you have to navigate trashing your security, and basically there's so many decks like Stratus and stuff that that you can get OTK'd in one turn, given the thresholds you leave your opponent. So having to learn up all the different matchups and knowing where to gauge and leave your security, how do you end your board state, is yeah, takes a lot of work and time for those. So definitely can't carry you, but it is high powerful or high power.
Now that we're
Okay.
here, though, I'll actually ask you a question about the deck, which is which deck makes better use of Dianamon, Jupiter or Grace Nova, in your opinion?
Mm. Tough to say, but for me, I'm on so many Dianamons in Jupiter. I think I enjoy her more in Jupiter because bias, but just because you can toggle between recovering security and ending with Diana, or just uh, ending the game after the Diana turn. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. We have Beelzemon. Beelzemon got its support in, was it EX10 it got support with the Ace? It's been a while ago now.
I think
Um,
11.
it, it got the Ace in, no, it got the Ace in EX10. EX11 was the
Uh,
Liberator.
10. Yeah, 10, 10, 10.
Yeah.
Sinister Order.
Alright, so Beelstar, even after it got the Ace, it kind of wasn't even tier A, but it's a fan favorite, so I wanted to include it. Where do we put
Beelzemon.
Beelzemon? Sorry, Beelzemon.
Beelzemon is it's doing the same thing it's always done. You know, if it could casino high roll you and then just win the game, but it can also, on average, not. And the fact that a lot of the strategy now relies on the ace, um, you're not going to be able to blast Evo this guy because being able to Evo over an Impmon is cool. Being able to Evo over your 5 is cool.
I feel like it's a skill
But
check for
there's
your
still
opponent, because if they don't remember the level 3 can Ace into the 6, they're gonna get screwed by that.
Yeah, yeah. But the
Uh,
thing is, this format has so much easy removal, like chip removal for small bodies while going up their line. Like you're never gonna have a body to Evo on top of for Beelzemon. Uh, I mean, you're still playing aces in BT25. It's pretty rough, pretty rough to give your opponent the 4 overflow. The game has progressed to this point where if you're acing, you need to win the game to not give your opponent the overflow,
mhm.
because decks are getting more and more efficient, and it's not great. But I mean,
Is
you
it
still
not
have
even
Beelzemon
balanced?
X.
It's mid, or is it not playable? Don't play it.
I think it's mid. I think it's pretty mid.
Mid? Okay.
I think it's mid. If you're high rolling, it'll be balanced.
Wait, okay. Do you believe it Beals, my bad, not Beelstar. Beals is better than Royal Knights currently? Like, is that a
I played the matchup actually. I was like playing for fun, and someone was playing Royal Knights, and I played Beelzemon into them, and I won.
that's tragic. That's so sad for Royal Knights.
so, so the funny thing is because even like with the Omeka play and everything, when you're going up the line, you Evo Beelzemon X, you burn all their security. I'm not actually sure if the interaction played out right. I think I just went too fast.
It's
Like
faster.
this is what I'm saying. Where
It
like you can
it's
just win the
always
game,
been
right? Like
faster.
if you casino your opponent, yeah, I think I put him down to like 1 security on turn 2 or something like that
Mhm.
because I just high
Yeah.
rolled. I
Yeah.
high rolled, had a whole bot thing, and there wasn't anything they could do.
Yeah, the Beals Samon deck has always been faster than Royal Knights. The way Royal Knights had an edge was, uh, if they couldn't leave anything on board at every turn. Like whatever they left on board, Royal Knights would remove it. So it was more of like a skill check on the Beelzemon player of knowing how to beat Royal Knight. But a good Beelzemon player would usually beat Royal Knights. But it is a deck that we wouldn't recommend you to play.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just a question of, do we put it into mid or Greymon tier? V Passion and Marshmallow, what do you guys think?
I
I
mean,
think your
if we,
average Beelzemon player would probably be an F tier.
What
I'm
what
putting
about the
Greymon
other
here.
guys' opinions?
It's in Greymon tier.
I think if I had to like rework this, I would definitely put Royal Knight at the lower end of mid and Beals right next to it. I don't think
Royal
they're both
Knight is not
unplayable.
F.
Yeah, it's not
I would
F tier.
highly recommend not to play Royal Knights right now, though.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I don't think it's a terrible
I mean,
deck.
I wouldn't recommend anyone play anything in mid tier if they're taking it to a tournament.
Yeah,
So I think it's fine to put Royal Knights in mid tier.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
so we put them both here.
yeah.
I think the Greymon tier is, as its name implies, a deck that hasn't gotten any support in like 2 years or
Mhm.
1 year, and you're still
Yeah.
three to play in BT25.
Something you're gonna go like X5
I
at
would,
locals
yeah, I
basically
would do
every
the
week.
injustice to Royal Knights and Beals to throw them in F because they're
Yeah,
still strong decks. They still do
Who's
their
goes
game
F? I
plan.
didn't hear you.
Just yeah,
No
Who?
one goes in F
Oh,
right
no
now.
one
yeah,
goes in F.
yeah.
Gotcha.
A
I
deck
think
that
it
would
was
go
a
to
meme.
F in my mind at least is someone that would go against a Royal Knights player and be like, "Damn, you're on meta," and lose.
All right, Chaos.
Yeah.
Not Chaos, but Lucimon Chaos mode. Essentially Lucimon deck. Where do we put Lucimon? All the hopefuls would say A tier. They're fanboys of Lucimon, but I mean the
No,
reality is he's
I,
just countered too easily by so many decks. So I wouldn't put
I
him anywhere higher than balance, but maybe lower. What do you guys think?
he's even after, so the 81 support is cracked for the deck. The issue with Lucemon is it's very memory inefficient, even with the Tamer.
Mhm.
The Tamer that came out in EX11 is super insane for the deck. The fact that if you check that Tamer in security and you left a Lucemon on board, it gets to Evo for free from trash
Mhm.
is pretty insane. But
And the
it's
tamer
again, your
stacks,
opponent
right?
has to check. Yes, the tamer memory gain does stack as well. So like, not only is it a setter, but like each additional one you get gains you more and more memory every time you Evo. Uh, it the 81 cards also give it an extended amount of variety of play.
Mhm.
The issue is the support came in the form of Dynasmon and Lord Knightmon, which are not Fallen Angels or Demon Lords or anything, so like they can't even be searched. You have to naturally draw into them, but they do have Lucemon and text, so it supports the deck. The issue is this deck gets completely destroyed by Medusamon, and that was last format. So honestly, in this format, with Medusamon kind of getting pushed down a little bit from the other decks, it has a little bit more wiggle room. It doesn't care about option removal or anything. It actually it prefers to get removed a lot of the time,
Mhm.
but
But not
I
bottom
think it's
decked.
still well. Even if you try to bottom deck it, it still triggers its effects, right? Because all of Lucimon's effects say when it would leave,
Mhm.
right? So it doesn't care.
Where would you
It's just
put it on the
Digivolve.
tier list?
I think it's still mid. I don't think it
It's
deserves to be
actually
in
mid.
balance.
Mid, but
It's
above
too.
these guys like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't.
It's above Royal Knights.
I think
Well,
so.
technically, Royal Knights in the Lucemon matchup, Royal Knights wins because they take advantage of just sacrificing an Omekamon every turn and playing it back out. But as far as the entire meta
Well,
goes, I think it's still better
it
than Royal Knights.
it used to be that way, but with the 81 support, the 81 Dynasmon that can blanket 6k DP the opponent's board, give stuff sec -1 out of security. It has a lot of cool plays, but it's still too memory inefficient, and the removal in the current format is too efficient. Um, so I think it's in mid until it gets some more support in the future. What they really need is just another rookie, a more efficient rookie that doesn't Evo for 5.
Okay.
I don't know if
I,
that'll ever happen,
I
but
mean, I want to put it here. Do you guys want to
I think it's
push?
mid.
It's
It's
fine.
definitely not in the same realm as Huddy.
Yeah, he belongs there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have Machine Dramon. I mean, this is an OG deck where, I mean, at some point, I mean, okay, if we go, the one time that this deck was S tier was in the Ultimate Cup where you had to play a monocolor. Uh, Other than that, it was A tier in some formats, but now where would you guys put Machine Dramon?
Wasn't Machine like really doing well
Yeah.
when EX9 came out with versus monsters? Like at first, people were like, "Oh, Machine's a meme," but then they actually started learning that like the EX9 Machine Dramon
It had
with
OTK.
assembly had full OTK
Yep.
potential. Like and you know it still is toolboxing level 5 cyborgs from
Yep.
the beginning of the game, right? And
But
it will
now
always
we
have that.
have immune Digimon, so you can't control with your level 5s. So you're basically, your only game plan is become immune and
Get
unblockable.
large and swing.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to be immune, unblockable, and OTK, otherwise you're not doing anything that game. And Dianamon is in the game, which ruins your Machine Dramon.
yeah,
So
yeah. I don't even know if
realistically,
Machine can gain immunity. I don't
Lower
even.
it.
did I say gain
Hmm.
immunity? I just meant gain. Sorry, I meant gain unblockable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But like,
No.
where do we put it? Like there's security bombs now more than before with their Spiel Star and stuff. There's a minus DP that can
Monarch
remove
Lizamon
it.
says
There's Source
de-digivolve.
Strip.
He digivolved so many source strips.
Yeah.
Well,
So
one of the benefits of this deck is that it's actually pretty hard to de-digivolve if they have the right setup. So it's
Yeah.
not the worst thing in the world. I think it's one of the positives to it is actually its resistance to de-digivolve. Option cards do kill it though immediately. The options do immediately take this deck out, and I feel like
Right.
unlike other decks, it's also slower to set up.
Is it better than
So
Vortex?
no,
Is it okay?
no.
So it's not. Is it F tier?
is
I don't think it's in
No.
because Machine.
Royal Knight's the bottom of C
Yeah.
tier. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
Is
those four
worse
bros
than these
nine.
worse than these last two? I would say it's better than Beelzemon. I would put it
I,
here.
I don't think ordering within the tiers is as important.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in the lower mid.
It, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Ordering within the tiers is not as important as just
Yeah.
in the general space of
Mid,
where it's going.
but undiscernible. Can't really figure out where.
Mid
Somewhere in
question
there.
mark. Okay.
We have rocks from Liberators, so Magnetic Dramon to represent that. This deck actually was like up here before. BT25 has changed the format so much that wherever it was, I either it's moved to the end of that tier or even a tier below. I would put it into balance now. It's a deck that has been out for long enough that we all know what it does. It's not going to catch people off guard. Um, and without any new BT25 tricks up its sleeve, it's just, you know, faster horses have come out. So where do we put rocks?
You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe my take is incorrect, but I feel like Beat Break has kind of eaten Rox's lunch in the sense of I feel like Rox is like the good deck for people who don't want to learn something super complicated, like a really good intro deck for a lot of players. That's still like very high powered, and I feel like Beat Break has kind of taken that slot pretty succinctly. So I don't know if Rox really has a huge place. I think B is completely fine for the deck. I don't think it does anything crazy.
Yeah, B is good. Plus 1 point for like a potential tamer removal in its line.
Yeah, the EX11 Pyramidi being able to delete tamers definitely helps. But the issue is you find Icemon or your guys get removed. Like an Eclipse Impact from a Tratusmon will just remove the whole stack because it gets bottom decked and it can't
Yeah.
fragment
It's not a
unless you have
deck that
Icemon.
usually builds multiple bodies on the battlefield. So
Yeah,
if your one stack gets removed, you're starting over.
and they don't have rush, so
Yes.
it's a predictable. Like if I clear it, I'm safe to let my opponent have their memory or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, but it can still OTK you, and if your opponent gets reckless and checks close in your security, you may just win. So
We have Mastamon next. Mastamon was seen multiple times at Nationals, which was still back in BT24 format. Where is Mastamon now?
We need to summon Sean.
There,
Yeah,
yeah,
Sean would know what's
Digishon.
up.
well, it does play a lot of floodgates. Are floodgates important this meta?
Yes, kind of asterisk. There are some decks I feel like floodgates really matter against, and there are the rest of the decks that they don't do anything against, and you feel stupid for playing them.
It is
So
also a DNA deck, so it has memory manipulation. It has floodgates. It plays cards from trash. It tucks things into security. Trash is security. It's got a lot of things to it that are unique and high powered. But I think when it comes to being actually high powered, speed is also important. And the deck is not the most consistent. And it could be expensive to go into your level 6. So whereas it does have the qualifications to be high powered, does it have all the qualifications to be high powered? Otherwise, it would be balanced.
I think
Yeah, I
when
think it's
Mastamon high rolls, it's absolutely up there in the high power.
Yeah,
Like you can produce multiple Mastamons in one turn. That's something on the same level as these other decks, but it doesn't. That's only when it high rolls. I think the average output for this deck is pretty
yeah,
balanced.
I also feel like it
balance.
doesn't care about being removed. So that would be a plus for the deck. So, but what do you guys? And it has yeah. Honestly, like I can't be lower than balanced though. Where do you guys put it?
put it in B probably. Like I think the deck is
Yeah.
good. It does some stuff that's like unique to it. It has some good high rolls, which I think a lot of decks to be in B plus, I think need a high roll that they can kind of like rely on somewhat consistently. That just kind of wins the game for them. But
Okay,
I don't see it being an A because I think if we're looking at the decks in A right now, I don't think it's better than any of those. So
got it. Uh, we have Medusa. Okay, so I'll go first on Medusa. So I think what made Medusa best deck in the format or tied for best deck in the format was the Ukomon that you could play in it because you would push up Uko, You could use the deck kills from the opponent having 4 or less security. So you push up Uko, you have the option to or choice to check with the Uko or leave the Uko so that when you push up the next Elizamon, you get a search again. So Uko search 3 and then push up next turn Eliza search 3, which was very good for the deck. It's a red deck. It needs a boost in consistency, and Uko gave that. It also needs to do an early check, and Uko does that. So the problem with Uko now is there are so many level 4s in the game that just answer your Ukomon. So you're in a position where you want to get that search to help you with the consistency. You don't want to immediately swing with Uko, but your Uko's going to die. So you're forced to swing, and then oops, you hit a tamer, you hit an option, and now you've actually gave the opponent the plus to build a board that is immune. You can't get over them, and even if you do have your full line, they build up a wall that you can't get over now because you check their security. So you're kind of in a position where, yeah, do I still play Uko in the deck for that consistency, or do I cut Uko because it's not working, and just tech for like put more options into the deck? And it's very hard to build the deck right now. It's also not as reliable as it was before. It's not a carry you deck. I would say it's still high power, but it does it can do well against um, it can do well. It depends really. It's I think it's better than all these decks in B tier, but it would either be the king of B tier or the jester of A tier. What do you guys think?
I think the deck is still very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
still A.
I think it's still A.
It's still A, and
It's just a beast of a deck. Progress is just a dumb keyword.
would you guys
Yeah.
do you
That's
guys think
just
the deck needs the Uko for consistency, or is Uko a hindrance in this meta for if you're playing it?
That's such a hard question because I
Have
feel
to high
like,
roll with Uko.
ugh, yeah,
Like you have to
I
high roll
agree.
opening turn one and going first with Uko, and then and then get into your key pieces fast. Then you become the king. But if you go second and your rookie is Uko, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, like
In
with
today's landscape.
some decks, yeah, really do try to push for like a turn 3 going first kill, and if you start with an Uko, you're not setting up anything to like stop them from doing that. You are just hoping they don't do it, and I feel like that's not where you want to be currently. But if you do get that high roll and you are going first, like we passion said, I think it is really good. So
Yeah.
Uko is seeing a lot less play in BT25 because more and more decks are starting to get rookies in their respective archetypes that have when moving effects. We see that with both the starter decks. They have rookies that have when moving effects that directly benefit. They search and do something else.
Beelstar has it.
Uh, Beelstar has a when moving rookie. Coronamon is a when moving
Grace
rookie.
Nova, yeah.
great. Beat
Yeah,
Break
so,
also
so
has it. So
yeah. There's a lot of this
Data
Uko
Squad.
design. Yeah, Data Squad Agumon has when moving as well. So there's a lot of Uko like rookie design. The only thing that they don't do is rehatch, right? So like at the end of the day, Ukomon does still do something incredibly unique in letting you immediately hatch and
I don't
set
want
up
to
in your
go
raising area again.
too off
But
topic
you can't build on top of it. So
with the Uko, but being able to I think that being able to Evo over your Digimon after you've promoted it and got a when moving ability uh, is makes up for Uko's hatch because you Uko's hatch is going to force you to put another rookie in the racing. You don't want to put a second Uko back to back, and then you're going to start evoing that. Whereas the one that just promotes and does something, you don't need a backup rookie on the exact same turn. You could just go straight into the 4. It doesn't hurt you on speed because if you found everything you need, you're just going that turn, and you're not paying 1 for the Uko, so you're not giving your opponent a 1 memory for nothing. So it could be better to have these when moving rookies than to have an Uko. Like we're not totally sure on
yeah.
this, but there are situations where it's just better to not spend the memory and have a rookie that you could actually Evo on top of.
my question is unrelated to this, since we're still on the Uko stuff. If they unhit the zero cost Uko when promoting gain 1 hash, would that card be as prevalent as it was prior, or would it just not be as powerful as it used to be anymore?
The best place to play Uko are in decks that don't need to Evo to a level 4. So if hybrids get more support, then Uko becomes better, or if similar decks to that methodology come out, then yeah, Uko becomes better. Where it's like I don't care
Well, I mean,
about the rookie at all. I just want to
I,
get value out of an egg.
well, even if the Ugo came back, I don't think that moves like the Aldemon current red hybrid stuff up a tier. I don't think it's strong enough to do that.
Well, that's because I think yes, but also they do need their rookie. The Flamons in their deck are pretty good. I'm just gonna mute Discord here. Sorry, everybody. Um, there, it depends, right? If because back in Purple Hybrid, they actually didn't use their rookie at all, so the rookies were either Floodgates or Ukomons. But Red Hybrid does have a Flamon, and there's two Flamons that are pretty good. Uh,
And the new tamer 81 tamers require you to tuck hybrids, right? So
yeah,
you can't tuck. So you want to have rookies
they are
to
fueled
actually tuck
ammunition,
to
right?
give inherit, yeah, and to have inherits as well.
Yeah,
I
it
think
depends. Go ahead, V Passion.
I was gonna say I think the Uko strategy has kind of been uh like if my opponent opens turn one Uko and it's back to me, I'll go rookie in the back and then rookie in the front because I know the rookie in the front will probably go uncontested, and then by the time it's their turn, they'll either set up another rookie in the back or sorry, push out the Uko and then set up either another Uko or set up their rookie, and then I can build back to me. I build my stack up in the front and control the board with that stack, and while having the rookie in my back that I can evo on. So it's like in this landscape, I feel Uko's somewhat too slow and it's predictable because it lets you go unscathed for that free turn,
Yeah,
and rookie surviving, going unscathed and becoming level 6 stacks, uh, while having another rookie in the back to become another level 6 stack potentially is just too fast for Uko strat. I would feel.
okay.
Yeah.
Also, giving your opponent, so again, like Digimon on board, if you're playing Uko's going to be on the board, right? Because you want to farm value from Ukomon. But the starter deck tamers all say on play and start a main if your opponent has a Digimon gain a memory. So now they can put their tamers down for 3, or if they do it for a cheap effect, they could potentially be gaining memory by playing their tamers if you have Uko just chilling out there. And then they'll remove it.
We should have
So
just added Uko
just
as its
extra
own tier
value.
here, but
True.
uh,
Ukomon discussion.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have Marukimon. I mean, there's a lot of different Olympus 12 decks. Marukimon is key to one of them. It's the Marukimon OTK deck, and I don't know who the creator of that deck was, but Marshmallow, you took that deck to nationals and have inspired many other people to play the deck. Where do you put
I'm sorry
Maruki
for
OTK?
that. I mean, after the new cards have come out, like Marsmon and the Grappleomon are obviously like huge power increases for the deck. I think the deck is not bad at all. It's probably in A tier just because it is one of the few decks I think in the format right now that focuses on turn 2 kill, and then it's like a consistent turn 3 kill. Whereas I think most other decks are content with a turn 3 kill while also setting up like a powerful turn 2 board that is resistant to dying. Yeah, I'd say it's probably A. I'd say it's probably A.
Okay,
It's
that's
a, it's
good.
a TS deck.
Yeah,
It
it's
can be.
true.
It's
True.
it's the fastest TS deck, but it's also the most high rolly TS deck, right? Or no?
Yeah, yeah. It has the least options as of all the TS decks. Where you typically like the top end is very like varied, and you have like a lot more ways to handle an opponent's board that's hard to like protect from.
When you say
You're very
options,
one
you mean
note.
options like the option type card or
Utility,
the
yeah, utility.
okay.
Not like the option card type itself, but like the level sixes in the deck. Like we're not playing Venus, we're not playing Minerva really. Some people play Neptune, some people play Mars, but you're mainly just playing Maruki and trying to kill your opponent as quickly as you can.
I kind of want to move Saris into B because it's a TS deck. I don't think any. I genuinely don't think any TS deck deserves to be mid. Like the overall engine is too strong, and just because we personally haven't seen people at Eagles play Saris, I have played Saris, and I've watched other people play Saris in other channels, and this deck can do a lot of work, and it just has the TS foundation. It is very good.
Okay. But
And actually, I played Saris against Beelstarmon, right? A deck that has option removal,
mhm.
and I still was able to win pretty convincingly because you just produce so many bodies that they just can't answer at all. Plus, you do have the interruption on the opponent's turn, so they have to sequence their plays. So, no. I don't think any TS deck goes in mid. I think any combination of TS cards will result in a balanced deck.
I want to just give
Fair enough.
closing comments about Maruki to Vpassion if you have any.
Yeah, I definitely do. I think if you're doing Maruki OTK and your goal is to, do the OTK thing, that maybe hot take jumping too fast forward, but I've seen Teapot do the same thing but
Yep.
faster and maybe more consistently, and then they'll evo into Maruki and then do their two things
Yep.
anyway. So
It's
like,
so fucked up, bro.
yeah, right? If we're talking about Maruki as just like a card, he might just get there even faster with Teapot. But if we're just talking about Maruki with the added, TS, like you have control variabilities with some Venus with some Minervas in there too, and to default to, then it can still be, yeah, again a TS high power. So, yeah, he still lives there.
He just probably has a better home now.
Right?
Yeah, he probably is moving out and
Growing up, hate to see him go, but
we have a classic Omnimon DNA with your regular Greymon and Garurumon, not the
so this is like
Ultra S version.
the gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
the Nokia like typical version.
Yeah.
So this is also not the adventure-based Omnimon DNA.
No, it's not
right?
adventure. We'll get to that over here.
So you're talking like BT17
yeah, like
style
Nokia,
Omnimon.
BT17 style, but
Gabu.
also we have the Alter S version here and we have Adventure here. Adventure could be considered an Omnimon deck, but not even necessarily. But we'll just do it. We'll do it in this order. So, what do you guys think of like play an Agu, hard play a level 6 and warp the Agu into the War Gray and then go into Omni? What do you guys think of that strategy?
I think he's like between mid and low end balance to me. Like it's just
Yeah.
you need the setup and then you have to like not brick and
It's just too slow. It's just
Yeah.
a speed thing.
It's very, 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 very fair.
Very fair. Okay.
I mean,
And
it's
then
the
plus-
worst Omnimon variant for sure,
Worst
right?
Omnimon.
Yeah.
Which one would you say is the second best Omnimon variant?
Adventure and then
Adventure
we'll go
focused.
to ping pong.
All right, we'll just do
Yeah.
Adventure next then. So, is
Yeah.
it in the same tier as mid, or is it better than mid?
He could live in the apartment floor above
Yeah, I think B is fine. Yeah.
I'm sorry, the right next to him. The
Oh,
neighbor
next to him, that's also
the
fine.
beach
True.
He's just closer to the elevator, so he
the
doesn't
same-
have to
Yeah,
walk as
yeah,
far to
yeah.
leave.
It's the same payoff with just a slightly shifted focus. You also are playing the Our Courage United option card, right? That card's really cracked. And when you end on an 81 Omnimon that trashes your opponent's option, trashes security, removes their board, and it's backed up by that option card, it can. I think it has more versatility, and then the amount of tamer support that it has, it's good. But it suffers from speed, right? Like if you're
Yeah.
trying to get all these tamers, trying to get everything set up like that,
Yeah.
and just demand that you have everything all the way up to Omnimon on turn 2 or 3. It's very hard. It's a really big ask for that kind of deck.
I think the advantage is more consistency because just the fact that you have better searchers in the deck and you have Evo lines, which means you're drawing a card every time you Evo, you're gonna see the line more in more games. But this deck, you just open a good maybe like first 10 cards of your deck. You're just going into Omni, and then that Omni is gonna make a new Omni, and you just have a really good game. So more high rolly, but more consistent. And I prefer consistency.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Ultra S stuff is just really, like all the bottom end for that deck is just so good.
This one is
So-
Ultras. We'll get to Ultras.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So it's like I think
we'll
it's
talk
hard
about
for me to
Ultras now
rate
then.
the other two. I think it's hard for me to rate the other two higher, just because of how much better I think the bottom end for the Ultra S deck is.
So you think
Considering I think
Alter S is like just another Omni DNA deck, or it's a step above them?
I mean, it's an OTK deck that does its job really well.
And would you
Yeah,
say
and
that
with
it's like an actual scary OTK deck that you don't really want to see in a tournament, or would you say it's like you could beat it? It's balanced.
I think that you can beat it. I think it's just scary to see. I would be afraid of seeing it in a tournament because it can just high roll kill you so quickly. It's less consistent than I think something like Grace Nova would be in my mind, but it's consistent enough that it's very hard to interact with.
I want to set the record straight. So we have Grace Nova and Omnimon Alteress, or aka Ping Pong Omni.
Yeah,
These decks are very comparable because of their objective. Is Grace Nova has the TS floor, the TS
yeah.
foundation, whereas Omni it wishes it did. But the level I would say level sixes and the level seven is just gonna win you more games if you can get there with Omni. So what's better in Digimon right now? Consistency on the low end or your top end? The payoff.
I would say consistency is always king in card games,
Yeah.
like 90% of the time.
So is
So I
this
think that it's probably
Omni?
worse.
Is it worse than Grace Nova, but just like at the like very close? It's like a high
Like
B.
I think
if
it's
you
better.
could go ahead,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Mark.
I was just gonna say, if you could construct your hands, I think that Omni would be better than Grace Nova. But because you can't do this, I think that Grace Nova is probably better than Omni because you're going to get to your top end first. You're going to set up before they can, and you'll have interaction on their board before they can like become fully immune. And even the turns that they become fully immune, they don't have a great way to out your Grace, and their immunity does not stop your counter effect, which just ends the attack. I think that you are favored in the matchup typically.
Yeah. Well said.
If you're being proactive and can keep turn, Omnimon just
Wins.
wins,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
But
you
but the
just
thing
win.
is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah, because you
Omnimon because
Omnimon pop it out, do another one, keep going.
yeah,
Like
but
and
Omnimon does not interact on the opponent's turn. It relies on your opponent to attack in order for you to have your interaction, right, with the Crescaruru and everything. Whereas
yeah.
the Diane, like both of these decks kind of do the same thing, where like you end on 2 level 6s and you can choose to end a turn DNA them on your own turn or leave them out on the opponent's turn. They both do that, but Omnimon's leave both sixes out is not nearly as good as leaving Diana and Apollo out on the opponent's turn
Get into the
because
Diana blanket, and I think Grace can also default to other play lines. You can, yeah, just use the TS engine to default to other setups as you find your pieces. Whereas Omni early game, you're just trying to, cycle through until you can kind of build the immune body setup. But once you're there, you're there. But I think overall, in a maybe a 9 tournament run, maybe Grace just is able to have more adaptations to its different matchups in today's meta than Omni's game plan.
yeah.
Are we satisfied with putting it in B?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
actually
surprised we had
lower
so
than
much
I
to
thought it
talk
would be.
about for it. Yeah, I'm
Even
surprised we had so much to talk about for
yeah.
it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Bren did win regionals with it like a month ago, and I back then I would put it at A, but it's kind of fallen off, I guess, because the
That
new
was
set came
before
out.
BT25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have Minervamon. I mean, Minervamon is probably out of BT24 the most popular of the Olympus 12 just because she's either in every Olympus 12 deck or she's the four of the deck. Even though it's kind of like, in my opinion, as a Medusa player, it's like I'm the most grateful to see her because she's the easiest to answer. Like I'm not really sure where to put Minerva as your like centerpiece to your Olympus 12 deck. Where do you guys put a Minerva focus deck?
I'm taking your Minerva Mon symbol here as a representation of TS slop.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's more like Iliad, just
Yeah.
TS Iliad
I mean,
stuff.
we're
Good
not
deck.
really we're just like putting the floor of TS at B tier, but is it like a really good one, a really good Olympus deck like Maruki, or is it because it is the most popular out of BT24? Is it still as
I,
good? It does have
I think
Dynamon support, like we were saying.
the thing where it worked with TS Slopper at that time was, you don't care too much about memory passage. But nowadays, like you slam your, TS Slop stuff and you pass your opponent 5, 6, whatever memory, 4 memory, that beat break can just take advantage of that and unbreak the board and, go for game or so. So that strat used to work before, but I think in today's climate, it's just more difficult to navigate to set up well.
Is it not as good as it used to be? It's maybe fallen down to B.
The idea of like TS Toolbox playing like 12 level 6s, like, yeah, I think that strategy is not nearly as good now as it was in the previous format.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I think that Minerva is a fantastic card as like a third level 6 in your deck to support like the two that you have already chosen as like your main stars. And I think that any deck that just like tries to play all those 6 costs or the 6 level 6s that we used to see, I think it's just better to focus on something right now.
I have a like non-competitive theory about why Minerva was so popular, and it is that because Homeros was so expensive, people had a bias towards it. They paid for the card, or they opened the card, were excited to play it. And Minerva lets you play out a Homeros, and then your Homeros lets you play out another thing, that you could play out. And I feel like people just got tunnel vision on how exciting it is to play that combo rather than how effective it was. Uh, and I never thought the deck was as good as people thought it was. Like people brought the decks to a lot of tournaments, but I never thought it was as good as other people thought it was. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I think that the TS slop was always like okay, but never like the most impressive variant of TS. I
Mm-hmm.
think
I mean,
that
I would disagree
yeah.
where I said I think it was really strong because there's less stuff to be able to answer that kind of board setup that they just keep accumulating, Venus Mon and then Neptune and then Minerva, and then they just have this like harder board to break back in that meta. But now we just have so much more answers to that. And again, ironically, Dianamon kind of just holds off that whole strat. They can have everything, all those Olympus 12 on board with immunity or sorry, with protection and all, and Dianamon just freezes them all, ignores it, and just checks for game.
When we say TS slop, are we also including like variants that were like the Mega Zoo TS decks into it as well, or no?
Uh, well, essentially decks that played a mix of Abyss Sanctuary, Minerva,
Yeah, the
and they would just like try to spam a wide board of blockers, and eventually when they had more stuff than you, they swing for game all in one turn.
I mean, basically the one that won North American Nats, or the ones that been played that top pretty frequently in BT 81 format.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I
Okay,
guess
okay.
Kupo final say.
No, it's balanced. If
Okay.
you're still playing that version of the deck, I think there's just better things to do with the TS top end now in 25.
All right. Well, I mean, we have Reboot Mon. Reboot has yet to win an Eagles tournament, but I feel like it's capable. It's just uh, the players that play it just seem to complain. Oh, I could have won, but I was a memory off, or I could have won, but I was missing one card. I feel like the deck is terrifying to go up against, but you have to keep pace with your opponents, and that's the issue. The Where do you guys put Reboot?
Bottom of A,
I,
probably.
I think it's still A.
The
This is the
deck,
first deck in the game that has permanent Digimon immunity once it goes off, and you have one little tiny window to interact with it, which is the start of turn phase, which some decks can interact with, mainly TS with their tamers, doing a start of turn play bodies that triggers other effects. But if your deck does not have the ability to do a start of turn interaction with Rebootmon, this is just a guy that's just permanently immune to Digimon effects, and he's 19k typically.
Yeah.
So you better have option removal, or you're gonna struggle. The goal to win against this deck, if you don't have option removal, is you just need to win or put them in a situation where you're about to win before they make Rebootmon. If they make Rebootmon and they have 5 security, it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, I think he belongs in high power for sure. Anytime a card or a deck appears that makes other deck builders think about this card, comes across your mind, then you know he's creating some impact.
yeah.
And him himself with that Digimon immunity does create obstacles for a lot of decks that aren't playing option removal. And even if you do have option removal, it's still you have some expenditure to remove it, and then they do get blessed with that DNA, you know, piece rebuilding to be able to make a
App
secondary
Fusion.
reboot. Yeah, app fusion. Yeah.
I mean, I I've played enough against Wiz to say that this deck is really difficult to get rid of, even with option removal, because of the Charybdis level 5 they play that gives it protection from just removal in general. The 2-cost option, it's a black option. I can't remember what exactly it's called, but it just says, hey, whenever this guy gets unlinked, you can relink it with another card from your trash, which can proc a bunch of the effects that currently exist, either being like removal on your opponent's turn, or just like adding more protection to it, or giving it some like beefiness with like DP.
I think it's
Nonetheless,
God Grade Unleashed.
yes, God Great Unleashed. Like there's a lot of extremely powerful effects. And it reminds me a little bit of like Numamon, where eventually just over time enough powerful cards have been printed, and then they give it like something that ties it all together. And I think Reboot is like the thing that finally ties it all together. Craftmon is insane as just like a draw two. I think it's one of the more consistent things that makes it good. In my opinion, the draw two is what made Sakuya so good for so long. Is that we were just drawing cards so consistently off of the now limited Sakuya. Like just being able to see pieces in your deck means that you're going to have more things to answer your opponent. I think it's a completely solid deck.
Are we putting it in A then?
And
Yeah,
it is getting more support too. It's missing its promo tamer, which gives the deck even more play. So it's not even finished yet.
I mean,
With Reboot,
it's A now and it's moving up, right? Okay.
It is the reason why decks are playing option removal. It is Rebootmon and Atratusmon. Both of those two Digimon are the reason why this format has so much option removal. Because if you don't, you'll just get blown out.
yeah, and maybe with the introduction of Reboot on here, we'll see more app players and more app like brainstorming, group thought sessions to help build out the deck and refine it further. It also
I think
just
app is super
beforehand, it
underscored.
didn't have enough players to support that brain power to solve the deck. So maybe now, yeah, more people show up allured by Rebootmon, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I think Marshmallow was giving us the segue into Sakuyamon. Marshmallow, you were
True.
the Sakuyamon player out of all of us.
Yeah,
Where
I
do you
was.
put
That's true.
Sakuya? It's definitely F now, right?
Oh God, I love my girl. Okay, she's so cool. God, I wish she were better though.
She does have options in the deck, right? So you have
Yes, she
something
does have.
that's valuable in this meta, but does she
Yes, we
just
do have like native option removal, which is really nice. And Medusa's also less of like a prevalent monster than it used to be, because Medusa was such a hard deck for us to actually deal with in any meaningful capacity. However, the Digivolve is so popular right now. So many decks get access to the Digivolve, and we just have no way to play around that. I would say it's probably B, but I would put it probably below like.
still balanced? So you could bring this to like an 8-person tournament and maybe win the tournament.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of decks that the deck does well in. I'm just imagining taking it to a tournament and then running into something like a Medusa player or a Jupiter player or a Beelstar player and wanting to cry. So as long as you're running
I
into some
think
of
you
those
can
decks,
take
you're
any
fine.
of these decks. You can take any of these decks to an 8-person tournament and win.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you could take
I think
something.
it's possible.
You could take any of these decks, I think, in B tier up and win Eagle's Nest, which is a pretty competitive environment.
Yeah, but I'm
I-
saying you can take any of these decks on the list and win an 8-person locals. Like,
Okay, well,
it's definitely like, because 8 people, that's only 3 rounds. So
that's true.
you're not, the stars can align for 3 rounds in a row. Like, that's not unlikely. But we're talking, the primary reason of this list is talking like regionals, 8+ round tournaments, like the likelihood that you're gonna be able to win with the level of consistency you need to make top 16 at a big long tournament.
And I would say Sakuya is not that kind of deck, unfortunately.
If it was an 8-round tournament at regionals, are
True.
you even going to go 4-4 with Medusa? Like a 4-4 would be in this tier.
With Sakuya,
Sakuya.
I think you could pretty comfortably probably go X3. I think you could probably
Yeah.
go X3 with Sakuya, and that's I
A
think it's
good
definitely
player.
balanced. Yeah.
Right.
One of the downsides again, is that it's also a difficult deck to play in Pilot. So you either be good with a bad deck to do well. It's just kind of
like
sad.
you would have to put in so much effort just to do okay,
Yeah, beat break's right there, guys. Okay, just play beat break. It's so much easier.
Any closing comments or go next?
We can go next.
All right. We have Shine Greymon. I mean, Shine Greymon got a buff in AD01 that made it really good. I would say back then it was up there with Jupiter. Now it got another buff with both BT25 and the starter deck. So I mean, this deck is just keeps on eating. I have to say it's very fast, um, and the pieces are getting better and better with each set. The question becomes like I think the power level of the deck is right up there with S, but the only thing holding it back maybe is consistency and what your opponents can do on your turn, because you don't have interaction. Well, you have very little interaction on your opponent's turn, and you're weak to your opponents having interaction on your turn. So, given that that exists, where do we put Shine Gray now?
Okay,
It's
so
yeah, go ahead, Marsh.
I think that I have a potential hot take. I think you're going to agree with me, Passion. I'm not sure if you've experienced the matchup yet, but I think that not only did it get some support, so it got some buffs, but I think it actually received a huge nerf this format. I think Shine is suffering right now from being a good deck in a format that does not allow it to shine because of how strong Dianamon is against the deck.
Yeah.
Dianamon just makes it so that way your Marcuses can never suspend. They will never suspend ever if you are able to set up your Dianamon properly, which means the deck just does not work anymore.
If they become
I think
Digimon.
they are considered. I think every effect makes them a Digimon. I could be wrong
Well,
though.
you could suspend your Marcuses without turning them into Digimon too, right?
The
Yeah,
primary
but
81 Marcus becomes a Digimon at the end of the turn and then lets something swing, so you don't actually even have to suspend.
And
Well,
then
you
you're
do have to suspend
they,
him though in order to Evo, right? So
yeah, you do the
yeah.
spend to get the Evo.
So you'd
Same.
have to suspend him by effect before end of turn in order to get his effect normally,
Yeah.
which it's not what the deck wants to do, right? Like you're having to jump through extra hoops that you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Let's think
He's
of it this way. We have, okay, so bad against any deck running Dianamon. How does it do against Atratus, Beelstar, uh, Medusa, things like Reboot? How does it do against the other S and A's?
I
to
don't
me
know.
it's
I
been
actually don't know.
yeah, it's such a surprise because like with all when the cards were getting revealed, we were like, oh man, Shine's gonna be this all powerful thing, and then being able to turbo ruin modes and such and such. But again, with all the release of the cards in this meta, ruin mode doesn't lock out you know a Stratus
It
or
doesn't, you're right.
Beelstar. Yeah, 6K Gatomons like that strat doesn't work as it did.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, what Marsh said about the Animon just being they released a really hard counter to the deck. But I'll give the Shine players this one strat for their Marcus and Thomases that if they insert, once you have two inserts in the new Data Squad Tamer, you can suspend them. But then you'd have to kind of build up to that, and then you just lose out on being able to use your other Marcus to warp up during the Diana turn, but you can use your Marcus and Thomas to swings once they have two sources underneath
Hmm.
from your tucking. Yep.
I feel like the deck is high power. I
Hmm.
think it's above balanced. I just feel like it's not that exciting because the deck,
Yeah.
it's I'd rather be playing a deck that uh, I just like Medusa. I feel like Shine Gray is um, it needs to go into a level 7 to be relevant, whereas a lot of these decks don't. They just go into a 6, so they're all going to be faster and need less pieces. And these decks, they can get their tamers out, but essentially they are Digimon decks, whereas this deck really needs its tamers. So it's probably the least consistent out of all of these. I mean, maybe not true because Beelstar needs options, which is another level of, but Beelstar just fits into the meta so well right now. So I would say it's A, but not the best A.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree.
All right.
Yep.
Next deck then, we all agree? Okay, Junomon. I haven't seen too many Junomons. I did play against it once. It's like an okay version of the Teapot OTK, but honestly, it feels like the fair version of that. I feel like it would have been easy to beat if I
What,
was.
what is
So
what is a
Junomon,
Junimon deck? I don't even. I've never seen
it
a Junimon engine without Teapot.
okay.
Well,
So
so this would be
I'll
the
bring in
Junimon
here.
Clavis Angemon, like fair
Yeah,
version of Angels.
yeah.
Oh,
You have
this is like
Clavis,
a.
security manipulation,
I didn't even know people
uh,
played this deck. What?
Ascension, and um, you have your option that gives everything Alliance and Scapegoat. All right. So you're kind
I
of
mean,
like
you're
building
playing
a
teapot
wide
without
board.
the tea. You're drinking tea
Yeah.
without no tea. You're inviting everyone to a tea party without any tea.
I mean,
So
he's in it. He's
Well,
in
I
the
mean,
deck.
you still have your
no, what
full
I mean
shot
is
though.
like,
It's just
why
it's not
play
built
this?
to turbo.
Yeah,
I know. I think
it's a
Vipassion's asking
slow
a great
wide
question.
deck.
Why? But why would you?
I honestly think that you would play it just because it's something new out of BT25, but it's a worse version of the teapot aggro. So I don't even
It's
think it's in. I think it's mid, but
no,
you guys wanted
it's
to put all
B.
the TS at B
It
at
is.
least.
I played the fair version of this deck in my like testing videos and everything, and it is still stupid strong. It's stupid strong. It's not doing the focused win on turn two play. You're instead playing like a more like I'm still going wide. My whole board is immune. They're all blockers, and come answer me. Because the Clavis Angemon, he makes himself immune, makes two guys a blocker, and then on the opponent's turn, if they take one security, he'll play out another body and make two more guys blockers. So you cannot win the game through a Clavis Angemon. It is very, very hard to win through a Clavis Angemon that's established. But the trade-off is they're not turboing to win the game on turn two. You're playing more of a slower, like value attrition kind of game. So it's a control player's dream, honestly.
I would say it's
Yeah, not
not even
big
as good
game.
as Mastamon though. I think Mastamon
But
does like it's got the same similar control to Mastamon, but Mastamon's just better.
I
It
I don't know. I
Mastamon
don't
has
know
the
because
advantage of
Mastamon,
floodgates.
do the floodgates work though against the
That would you'd
TS
have to ask a
decks?
Mastamon player. I don't know.
They,
I'm
I
not,
can say this: they do matter in stopping like turn two OTKs and stuff like that, which is
Yeah, but
really
you're not
prevalent.
focusing on that if you're playing if you're playing like the Junomon, Clavis Angemon focused version of the deck. You're not trying to turn to OTK.
Well, no, I was saying that for Mastimon, it gives them some defensive utility against those things, which is like a positive there.
It's another so the Junomon version of the deck is just another way to play the deck. With the same cards. You're using the same cards, but you're focusing on a different way to win the game. You're focusing on like controlling the game and winning on turn like four or but making yourself very hard to kill as well.
Okay.
I
I
would
think like
be.
once you
Yeah.
get established, like Teapot will not easily be able to win against this deck unless they hit the full turn two OTK. If this deck gets established and puts Clavis Angemon out, they will not win the game on turn two because you produce too many bodies for free that are all blockers. But it's so now it's just like this whole stalemate situation.
Is Juno good
Um,
at all as like a tech choice for your TS deck? If is she does she have any place in Jupitermon?
yes, she does have place in Jupitermon, and she actually is pretty popular in the bear deck with Marsmon Calismon as a one of,
Okay.
because you can play Juno, and Juno's effect can play the Great Grizzlymon from the trash, and the Great Grizzlymon on play can taunt something to swing.
Okay. Any closing
Um,
comments about Junomon deck for anybody? Okay. We're
no,
gonna settle it
I think
in
it's
B.
fair, but there's a much more broken way to play the deck that,
Yeah.
on average, can
We
produce more results.
we have the the OTK teapot that barely plays level like it does play level sixes, but um
It
basically
more
this
focuses on promo Minervamon
mhm.
rather
this
than Junomon.
Yeah, this deck will win if they can get out the Shakamon turn two, but it does require a lot of high rolling. They do have access to their
Mhm.
security. It's the Teapot OTK. The sixes are just in the deck so to provide more level fours onto the field. They're not there to control the board or buy a turn because you're winning the turn that they come out. So Teapot OTK, turn two it's actually above 50% consistency to win with turn two on this deck. Like it's actually
Yeah.
possibly S tier. It's just that,
No, it's S
people
tier. It's 100% it's S tier.
It's S tier for sure.
it's S tier. Okay. V Passion, the last person to chime in.
I just have like thoughts on this because I've yet to see like it appear. Of course, no results yet, but in like a 9 round tournament, like I believe for sure it can do very well in the 3 round locals or it's a 5 rounds, mini bigger event, short regionals perhaps. But in a round like bigger event. I would just be curious to see how much can it do what it does for 9 round, you know? Because I've seen it also come short when it tries to, and if they don't have the gas to complete the turn, and your opponent does answer the board, it's tough for it to claw back. So again, in the 3 to 5 round tournament, can see it just clean the board state for sure, or clean house. But in a 9 round, I just don't have full faith in it yet to do those crazy OTKs consistently for those 9 rounds in a row.
I think that's where the player skill comes in, because this deck doesn't have to win the game on turn two. It just has the ability to. But if they play it a little slower, conserve some resources, then the likelihood that they win on turn three is even higher, right? Like they don't have to push out and then just go for it on turn two. Um, but the thing is, that's a player skill thing, right?
Okay. It is a very good deck. Because a lot of decks just don't have their defense ready on turn two, and like I said, above
Yeah.
50% consistency,
It,
it is probably going to win very easily, especially if they go first in the best of three.
and
They're
Uh,
also
also
trashing
where
security as well.
yeah.
yeah, I believe where it belongs here because it can carry an okay player. Like you just kind of just do the game plan and you can take wins that way. There is the
Yeah.
high skills for it to do say what Kubo said to do the 9 rounds, but it can also you can just autopilot in a sense where if you just learn the sequence, it'll take you games
Yeah.
without interacting
Yeah,
with your opponent too
100%.
much. Yeah,
I will say, like, not even just the turn two kill, but just the fact that it's consistently doing Digivolve every single time it goes into it. Like, you are tearing apart certain boards so consistently, and then your top end is also you have. If you do not go for the turn two OTK, your top end is TS, and the TS top end has been good for since they've come out. So at any point, you could just kind of like transition, even if you're not doing like the Minerva promo and trying to like kill. I think that is still good enough as like a lower engine to see
yeah.
play no matter what.
Okay. Uh, Vademon just to represent the DM decks from EX9. Vademon was brutal because it could answer Tamers and Digivolve things. Is this deck still playable now?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like a solid like B tier deck.
Oh,
I
it's
don't think it's.
actually better than
I
some
think.
of these other decks here.
I mean, it's like consistent tamer removal, as well as has access to like Digivolve, which is pretty powerful in the current format for a lot of different things. And it's just fine. Like it's not gonna wow you, but it's just like a consistent deck that does its thing well.
I think if you specifically are having a hard time against Beat Break at your locals, this deck is like a targeted counter to Beat Break decks, because
Wow.
Beat Break cannot play the game if they don't have a tamer with a material under it.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and
true. You
Vademon
set
will
them
just
back
keep
quite a
bouncing
bit.
your tamer, and you lose all those sources. You
Yeah.
have kind of have to
And,
reset.
and the thing is, a lot of Beat Break decks have actually started trimming the Armaliza level 4 that plays a Tamer for free, because a lot of the time you just go rookie and play the Tamer yourself, and then you're set up for the rest of the game. So you don't really want to waste your level 4 slot on just play a Tamer, which means if you bounce all their Tamers, they can't use their effects to go into their 4 or 5 for 1 memory. They have to Evo normally and then spend, well, actually, they can't even use the level 5 effect to play a tamer for 1, because they have to burn a material in order to do that. So if they have no tamer to do that, then it's like, oh, well, no, what do you do?
So,
If they're playing the
I think the only counter
BT25,
argument to that is with Beat Break, you've got E Pulse. Like I think you can play more tamers than Vademon can bounce tamers, and if it just becomes
yeah,
that, yeah,
potentially.
yeah,
my criticism
It's
of the
it's
deck
it's
is
not
whereas the Vademon is the best level 5 in the entire archetype, the problem with the deck is the speed of the top end.
yeah,
Because unless you're going
yeah,
into
yeah.
a Machine Dramon and giving that
yeah,
Machine Dramon unsuspend and security attack +1, there's not much damage that you're doing there, and you always need to keep that Vademon in play if you're, uh, because it's what's keeping the game going for you. So
yeah,
it's a weird deck where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna build a Vademon stack to control the board, and then okay, I'm not going to win now for another 2 or 3 turns after that, which is really, really slow right now when people can just say, okay, I'll ignore it and kill you anyways. So it is a slow deck, but it's as a control deck, it's got an interesting appeal to it.
The thing is, it's a deck that is slow itself, and it needs to slow the opponent down in order to win. But sometimes, if the opponent just high rolls or you don't hit your Vademon early, they can just win the game before you do anything.
Yeah, I
So
would
it's
go for mid
yeah,
because
it's
like
mid. I wouldn't
what
say it's
Michael said.
above.
What do you do after Vademon? You know that can ultimately impact the game so hard as
Yeah,
other top ends. Yeah.
needs
Any,
did you see Bass?
Mr. Marshmallow, what do you say? Mid?
I think it's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's a fair representation of the deck.
That I think the deck will have a lot more play once they get their promo option, the Did You See Bass, which is basically a scramble for the
Yeah.
deck.
Scramble plus,
Yeah.
Scramble plus.
All right, we could go to Titamon. Back in BT6,
The
when
best deck.
Titamon came out, I thought it was so cool. And this Titamon's way better than BT6 Titamon, so it must be S tier now, right? Where do you guys put
I
Titamon?
mean, if we're just comparing it between BT6 Titamon and this one, yeah, this is an S tier Titamon, bro.
All right, but
Itemon.
realistically, it is a pretty interesting card. I feel like the 6 is better than the 7. What do you guys think of this card?
So it's not just the card. This deck actually has legs to play now. It is pretty terrifying what this deck can do with the BT25 support. The problem with 24 was the promo Titamon was okay, but it didn't give the amount of aggression or control that this new BT25 Titamon does, in combination with its actual like game plan that it wants to do. Uh, it's pretty terrifying. And if you do not have Digimon immunity, your board is dead. This because when they do their game plan, their standard game plan of just slam the level 7 for 8 memory, they can do that on turn 2, probably more than 50% of the time with the new support. And when they do that, they're going to pop your board 4 times and trash a security and do 2 checks, and then end on a Titamon. So whatever like immunity, oh, you have to have immunity. If you don't have immunity, your board is dead. No amount of protection is going to stop 4 removals, 4 deletions in a row. Uh, and it just does a lot of damage. And then this Titamon has protection that also will trash the security on your opponent's turn, I think. So the ideal game plan is like you just set up turn 1. If you drew really well, turn 2, you slam the level 7. You execute, do 2 checks. You delete yourself from execute. You play out the Titamon. Titamon will pop another body and trash another security. So that's 3 security gone on turn 2. And then they can just win the game on the next turn if they don't have
They don't
if
get
you don't immediately
bottom
answer
decked.
it. The Titan option card also lets you, when you do that play, spit out other toolbox level 5s that have the ability to float when they die, de-digivolve on play, stun on play, source strip. It's pretty impressive. The only in the games that I've played with the Titan deck, and Tessero actually played the Titan deck as well. I shared my list with him, and he played it for about 4 hours on his stream. And he was cleaning basically everyone, and only really struggled into decks that had immune guys that they established before he got the level 7 out the first time.
Hmm.
So
So it's
so it,
not
it
really the fastest. It does have a lot of deletion. It can trash
oh
security, which is an
it can be very
upside.
fast. It can be very
Is
fast.
it faster than Shrine Gray? Is it because Shrine Gray, we've seen Shrine Gray put out turn 2 rune modes, but
Yeah,
we were saying like rune mode is not like the answer to this meta.
You can turn to level 7
Okay,
in this deck.
all right.
I know very little about this deck. I just have a question. I think that'll let me decide how I want to rate it, which is it going to like consistently have a board that matters? Because in the past, prior to the new set, I would play decks and I would just ignore what they did and kill them because they would never really have much defense. They were just like very bare bones offense, but then couldn't OTK me when they did their first set of actions.
So when the goal of this deck is you just be super aggressive. You hit your opponent's security, and then you blow yourself up with a level 7, end on this Titamon, trash the security. And then if you try to remove this Titamon, then they'll protect themselves and then also delete one of your guys on your turn. So it has interaction on opponent's turn, it has protection, and if it lives, you'll just die. So you have to remove it.
Hmm.
And And I mean, it's TS deck. They play Asuna. They still play
Okay.
the TS cards
We
that
haven't
give
talked
them
about the
recursion.
power level of the deck yet. Where do you guys put it?
Me,
I think
yeah,
it's
you go
I
first.
think it's in B. I don't know if it's on A yet because I haven't played enough of it. But of the games I have played and I have seen Tessero test with it, it is far more impressive than it was last format.
What
This
do you
new
think,
Titamon is crazy.
V Passion?
I mean, for sure, he's stickier than last format. But for me, on my end, like I think the most decks with strats that you just deplete cards from your hand, and you're kind of just banking on the cycle of your guy. And if your opponent has stuff to out it,
You're
uh,
not going to have a small hand because the level fours in this deck all have effects when they get trashed. They
yeah,
all
they
draw you
become
cards.
yeah,
Yeah, so you're not going to run out of cards. It's not like heavy metal where like you're going to have no
yeah,
options
yeah.
in
Not
hand.
not to that extent for sure,
And,
but
and
for me, for the trade off, I still think balance. It
no, yeah,
has its
it's
power, yeah, and and it also comes to just like a knowledge check too. I'm sure you can catch people off guard just because not a lot of exposure to it. But I think if he does become relevant and people learns the ins and outs of it, then yeah.
Okay. So B,
yeah,
everybody
yeah,
Marshmallow B.
it's pretty
I think weight's
solidly
fine.
a B deck.
All right, next we have Purple Hybrid. Used to be S tier. It was still A for a little while after the ban list. Now nobody. We were talking about how Uko is not really good in the meta anymore. This deck really relied heavily on Uko. Where do we put Purple Hybrid now?
I mean, he was so strong. He was like the answer to Royal Knights. Like I think that's what gave it a lot more win percentage too, because it just
Yeah, I
it's
think
just
this was a
auto win.
targeted Royal Knight
Yeah.
hate deck, right? Like I think a lot of its success was purely because Royal Knight was a good deck at the time.
Well, it was
But I don't know if it
also
was on the
really
deck's own merit.
fast. Like I played Imperial Dramon back then, and sometimes like Imperial Dramon has the tools to take this deck out, but I just wouldn't win sometimes because it's too slow. Like it's just a
Yeah.
fast. It was fast for its time.
Yeah, but now after the hit, right? Like they banned the BT2 mat that lets
Yeah,
you loop,
Yeah.
and there's a lot more. I mean, Dianamon exists. Tamers don't get to suspend,
might have been
or you like you
BT3.
strip.
Oh, it's BT2. You're right.
Like
Yeah, and when floodgates used to be more impactful in the meta.
All right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
is it just like don't play the deck at all? It's gone too long
It's
without support.
uh,
It's
it's crazy to not put it in at least C tier because I think it's better than most of the decks we currently have there.
right.
I think it's bad
It
comparatively to like what it used to be, but
it
like it's
hasn't
definitely not.
gotten support in a long time, which is what we said Greymon was. But even then, it's still strong for
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
not
was
getting
it's
support.
better than things like Vortex in my opinion. I think Vortex is more likely to lose against this deck than uh, it is to win against it.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, they still play the Rivals Barrage, right? Like they're
Yeah,
they're doing they're doing that
they
stuff. So
they got
I
option
mean,
removal. I think the deck is fine. I think they're just like I said with Shine. There's some really bad matchups for you now.
Okay. See you then. Are we cool?
it's for
Yep,
enthusiasts,
Okay.
but I don't expect to get a lot of results.
We've got
that's
another
also true.
TS
Yeah.
deck. I've never seen a TS deck that played 4 Venus Mons. I've seen 3 Venus Mons, but never four. Uh,
No, no, no.
I
It-
guess what do we
Venus
say
Neptune
about
should just go together.
Venus Neptune
Like
together? Okay, we could do that. So we have Neptune
if you're
here
doing like
also. Where do we
yeah, I
put
think they all
these best of friends?
to me, Neptune would represent fish, and I think Venus, she's just has to be that neighbor that just goes to everyone's house. So she's gonna go
she
to Minerva, she's gonna
okay.
do it.
Whoa.
I
She's
don't
a
know if
fighting
she.
lady of passion. You put some respect on her name, okay?
No, I'm just saying, like she doesn't have her own dedicated deck. I would say she's
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
does it's the TS Abyss Sanctuary deck,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. I mean that. I mean she
Yeah.
probably
But
That,
even in
that's
those, we
that's
don't
about
see
it.
her as a four of, because she's not
Yeah,
gonna
she's a
win the
Yeah.
three.
game. She's just control.
yeah. So for sake, let's just put the lovers together and consider them one thing.
Okay, so
Yeah, yeah.
Neptune slash Venus, the Abyss Sanctuary deck. Where do we put these two?
Bottom of balanced.
Yeah.
Balanced. Even worse than
Bottom of
Juno.
balanced.
Honestly, I would
Yeah,
say yeah.
I think
And
it's worse than June.
bottom decking is quite good, and the combination of these two protections, once you get them both out together, is actually very good. Uh, but you're still not winning the game very fast with these guys. There is the Maruki OTK that splashes Neptune to get a lot of damage done in one turn, but then we're talking about a different deck, right? So just these two as your focus. It's good defense, but your win condition is very slow.
Yeah, I think it had
Yeah.
hype for sure after, the Japan uh got first with it, but then after that I began just to see it like fall off a little bit, and now even much more.
It's
Um
just because you have too much, you have too many other options, right? Like the TS is such a huge umbrella of options that you have. So why pigeonhole yourself into just two effects,
yeah.
right?
The
Like
cards that
you,
also make it the best are like the Aqua stuff, and I think it's the weakest of the TS support that you can make use of. So
Okay,
Yeah,
B tier.
that's fair.
We have Virus Imperial. Used to be extremely good against Royal Knights and regular Imperial because you would stop people from playing Digimon by effects. Now, triggering to try and delete your opponent's Digimon could actually be a downside for you because you're going to trigger their protection effects, which could, so where is a deck that basically its only upside is you're stopping them from playing Digimon by effect?
I don't know.
the
It's
deck's
hard to.
not
You're,
consistent.
you're talking about like just a different era of Digimon, right?
Yeah.
Like
It's
that's
I
that's what this is.
I would say it's F tier now. It hasn't gotten support for super long, and it's just not a strategy that is, uh, you know, uh, it's not a strategy that matters right now.
I would say
You
low
gotta
end. I don't think it's a meme. It still does what it does, but it's just not as effective in today's climate. But it's still you know, um, a deck to just not write off. Like if you're playing an opponent, you still have to be conscious.
Well, if you are playing, let's say you're playing against Teapot OTK, and they don't, and you're going first. Their first two turns they don't push out, and you get a turn. Your turn three, their turn two. You get a turn three going first. Virus. You basically won that game, right?
Okay,
But
but
not necessarily.
that's
Not
so.
necessarily. Not
Oh, yeah, well,
necessarily. Not
yeah,
not even.
this is
necessarily. You just
that's
prevent.
true.
No,
No.
because then
So,
you don't even win that game necessarily because they can just build up and then like Junomon your Imperial to the bottom of your security.
So then
yeah,
why would we
I
put
would
this
also
into
say,
mid? I feel like it should be F.
well, listen, because in my opinion, I think it's probably fine with being in mid or F. I'm not like super committed to either or. I'm just gonna say that much like some decks now are like we can sometimes get a turn two OTK, sometimes we don't. This deck is sometimes we can get a turn three Virus Imperial, sometimes we don't. I think it's a good chance that you don't see Virus Imperial by turn three, and if you
Yeah.
don't, there's
In which case
I don't
you're
think there's a
already dead.
single deck. Yeah, I don't think there's a single deck on this board right now that won't at least potentially be pushing for lethal by turn three.
Yeah, or at least threaten it. Have a board where it
Yeah,
Veimon
says
won't
like you don't
be
if you
pushing.
don't remove the board
Chaos
you
Mon won't be
are
pushing for
you
lethal.
lose.
Royal Knight might not.
Yeah,
but see,
but like
might
if
not is like the
I
keyword
still
there.
think you
Well,
have a good
the
match
Royal Knight depends what you
regardless.
have in your
Why
stack if you
would
drew
it
Omni yet.
here in meme zone?
Yeah.
So yeah,
And so not in the
Am I
meme
being
zone.
voted out of F? Like, what's going on now?
Yeah, I think C is probably fine.
yeah. C
Bottom of
like
the
low
bottom
end
of
C.
it's
Wow,
not in the
wow.
meme zone.
I got voted out. Okay. Next we have Volcanus, actually topping consistently now, whereas
Are we,
before nobody even
we're
thought to
doing
build it.
milks. We're doing milks like 20 option version of Volcanus. I
Uh,
think that
yeah, well, Milk's version it does not play any level fives. I've seen some other people still top, but they do play a low number of level fives. I mean, do you regardless it seems pretty um uh obvious that the way to build it is to hard play your Volcanus when you are going to play him. Uh, he's very option heavy, has de-digivolve, which does get around the reboot because reboot when it would leave, it's just gonna drop the Charismon, but de-digivolve is a way to answer it and not trigger the Charis. So it does fit into the meta very nicely. Uh, and it puts so much into the trash that even Medusa is not gonna deal with it enough. So the problem is you're spending a lot of memory on every Volcanus, and is this deck fast enough to keep up with other decks that are consistent and fast? I think it's better than decks like Huddy for sure. I think it's better than TS Slop, but I don't know if it's as good as something like Shine Gray or as good as something like Medusa.
I think it can play into every deck that doesn't have a Dianamon in it.
Yeah, I think it has
True.
legs. Um, and it also being a heavy option deck, it can contend with Teapot. Like there's actually, they don't just fold to those OTKs all the time. And it can do multiple checks and unsuspend and do check again before end of turn.
Right, with the
Like
title stream.
you slam it for 7, equip your arms and stuff, do 2, 3 checks, whatever, and then Tile Stream, Dan Yuki,
End of turn
unsuspend.
Dan Yuki.
And
Yeah.
so it can be explosive. It has defensive, security to ward off some chances of Teapot OTK and Digivolve.
And
So
even a
it has
Tratus OTK
really
too,
good.
right? It is a
Yeah.
This is Setcon, like this is Neo Setcon. If you were a Setcon enjoyer way back in the day, this is how you play Setcon
yeah. It's
in
Sepcon
BT25.
without trying to mill your opponent out, or
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Setcon that actually punches back.
Yeah. I would say it lives in high power.
Marshmallow.
hmm
I literally know nothing about this deck other than
No.
Tessero playing it one time against me.
Oh.
It seemed kind of memey, so the fact that topped anything was crazy to me.
What were you playing
Uh,
in that matchup though?
Galaxy.
So yeah, you had the advantage because you had
Yeah.
Dianamon though.
As long as you play Dynamon, you
Yeah.
somewhat already have an edge to not see them do their game plan.
God, she's such a good card, guys. She's so good.
I'm saying so.
All right. We have a Shotmon cross 7, or in other words, Crossheart. Kupo, you're the Crossheart King. You're literally the Crossheart King. So what do you say about this deck now?
And this is where we turn off all our mics and just let people talk.
Yep.
So 81 really pushed this deck a lot further than even I thought the deck would go. I was really impressed. Like I already knew it was going to be good. And then the Cross 7 and Z Greymon, like they only got 2 cards. But the thing is, those 2 cards were like essentially custom made to push this deck even further. And then we saw innovations with like Fire Rocket and stuff like that. And so it had a pretty good spot in the BT24 and 81 format. I think it actually won a few regionals. It got first place and I think 2 regionals, and then it topped other ones. So like the deck had a lot of legs. That being said, BT25 has so much more removal that the primary like defensive ability that Cross 7 gave the deck in saving materials playing out of body gets countered by Arts Digivolve. Specifically, like when you go Atratus Mon Eclipse Impact on a Cross 7 stack, you just completely delete the whole stack, including whatever they play out. So that's pretty sad. And then it still has the same speed issue it's always had. And I feel like the format here in 25 has gotten even faster than the previous format. Blame Teapot, but also just the natural state of like beat break. You can potentially produce a Tratus on turn 2.
Yeah. What
What were you
as you
saying,
mentioned,
Passion?
Beat Break, like what I think about Crossheart before was like, the powerful play was you make your guy, you swing, you unsuspend, and you swing. But then I feel like,
Yeah.
yeah, Beat Break just does the same thing, but a little bit faster and better without less resources, less
Yes.
need for all those tamers. And you gain the immunity, you have a bunch of removal built into the Beat Break, and then you do, if anything, a little bit more checks,
Okay.
possibly.
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
There
come
is
up with
that. There's also, so with Crossheart a lot of the time, even if you're able to make Cross 6 or Cross 7, you usually going to be at like 0 memory. So there's also the risk where if you hit into a beat break security or a data squad security, you might just get your turn skipped by their tamers out of security, which is just another issue
It's very
with
fair
against the
because
deck.
his checks security normally doesn't trash security like a lot of other decks do.
Yeah, and it's incredibly vulnerable to tamer interaction. So like Rebootmon can suspend down your tamers and they just never can stand up again. TS decks that play Venus can either strip the Cross 7 or stun the tamers.
So
So like there's gameplay
What I'm
that
hearing
exists
is strong
against
deck
it.
but horrible into the meta. Where do you put the deck on the tier list?
I still think it's absolutely at the top of mid, if not the bottom of balanced. I think it's still definitely up there, and against against any other decks that like didn't get BT25
Mhm.
support, it's it's
I would say
it's completely fair game. It's
like
completely fair game against them.
going
But
back just to 81, it is better than every single deck in the mid section, and I think that just losing to meta doesn't make the deck worse. It's just it doesn't still deserve to be. It doesn't deserve to lose its balanced tier. It should be balanced at least, not mid.
I don't think that any decks are building around Crossheart. Like no one is building around Crossheart existing in the format.
Okay,
So it can't be on the radar of like high power and
okay.
anything like that because it's not at the forefront. It doesn't mean that it can't win. I think the deck is still strong. It's just that it's the strength that it had kind of has been eclipsed by
Okay.
Eclipse Impact.
Uh, Marshmallow and V Passion, we just wanted to let Kupo talk about it, but do you guys agree with this assessment?
I lost this deck at nationals and I hate it. So
Oh, so you put it at F and F or S?
yeah, you
Where
should never play this deck. By the way, it's
no?
bad.
Okay, F. All right, well keep it at B unless V Passion wants to chime in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
I think in just a competitive world, if you're going for that style, might as well just play beat break to get better results and do things more efficiently. Then yeah.
Okay,
It
V
does feel
Passion.
very similar to Beat Break because it's a deck that like you need to see your tamer so you can start putting sources under your tamers for Digicross. And Beat Break, you need to see your tamer so you can put materials under it so you can burst them for your effects. So it's pretty. The design of the deck is different, or is very similar, but one of them you're actually evoing a stack, the other one you're hard playing your big guy, but it's kind of the same idea, which is funny. But Beat Break is just the newer tool, and Arts Digivolve dual card as a mechanic, right? That's the thing that is new in BT25. So the mechanic is going to be pushed a little bit further, and that kind of gives these new decks the edge over Crossheart.
All right, we can move on to Imperial Dramon, Blue Green Imperial. V Passion, you're the saint of Vmon. V Passion. Sometimes you say you just like the letter V. Sometimes you say you're very passionate about Digimon. Sometimes you say V is for Vmon. So I mean, it's in your name. What's where does the Imperial Dramon deck stand now?
Um, I love the deck. I always will, but and it has its waves, like great in some formats and then completely shut out in some formats. And I think this format it completely shuts out because of my new true love, Dianamon.
Okay.
It's just so sad. Like Animon just comes out and they just chill. Yeah, you evo into X, they chill. You evo into Sting, they chill. Once you DNA into Pale, they'll strip all the sources, and that Pale cannot swing. And there's no way to remove the Dianamon without going up to your 6 line. Um, yeah. So
Is
I think Dianamon doesn't let this deck play.
is the deck F tier or is it like is it I feel like it's another F tier deck. Every time I pick it up, I'm just so frustrated by the lack of support and I feel like 81 was a joke of support. It didn't give me anything that I wanted. Um I mean, nobody agrees with me on that. Everybody thinks the 81 support was good. I have my own opinions. I don't need to listen to other people, but maybe I'm wrong, but is it F tier finally? Can I get people to agree with me on that, or is it still mid?
I would say it
There's no way.
ver-
There's no way that it's F
there's no
tier.
way it's F tier. I have to say it verged on like mid to
At least it has more
um
support than Purple Hybrid, though.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah. And I guess the top end, the new Pale is actually really good. That new, fire mode does have some nice like floodgate, or not a floodgate effect, but preventative effects to disengage your opponent's turn a little bit. But it still doesn't solve like its early game problem or its like kind of predictability and setup or not. You're still kind of trying to do the same game plan as you always been early, except this time you may be able to evo to pale in a single line without DNA to have some another play line. But other than that, yeah,
All right.
mid, and it has its high roll potential, but also yeah, it's not a Dianamon tier list. It's more so yeah.
Speak for yourself.
All right. Is there any objection to Vmon slash Imperial Dramon being in mid tier? No? Okay. Next we have Data Squad. Data Squad is a deck I've never seen played. I'm gonna be quiet. What do you guys think about Data Squad?
Just play Shine.
Is it worse Shine? Is it like slightly worse Shine, or is it like much worse than Shine?
It's much worse than Shine.
It's
I
okay,
think
but
it's probably bottom of B.
oh,
It's
so
imbalanced.
it's not
It's
mid.
still
It's still
no,
meta
it's not. It's not
playable,
mid.
but it's not. You don't
Maybe
bring it if
It's
you're a
not.
competitive player to a tournament.
we
It's
differentiate it between
you can.
and Shine. What it does have access to is, I guess, like Mirage and Rosemon. But
Yes,
at the
those
same
cards are
time,
good.
yeah, they're kind of like not situational, but they have their ranges of what they do, but not as as crazy impactful as like yeah what Shine does. So
It's not. It doesn't have the speed as like that Beat Break has. It kind of does. Well, so by design they tried to make them like equal, but the difference between the two decks is primarily the support they got in BT25.
Mhm.
Beat Break got two ultimate rares, and that are both good. And then Data Squad got the Shine Gray Burst Mode, which is a top end finisher piece card, and then a line, the Mirage Galgamon line, which is very good for the deck. But you're kind of like torn between playing the Mirage stuff and the other stuff. Um, so it's just like
Are
the
they as
strategy is not
synergistic
as
as
cohesive.
the Habakirimon line and the Atratus line? Because it seems like you
No,
can mix those two their lines together. You're not really punished for doing that. But I
they're
don't feel
you're
like you would want to
yeah.
mix Shine Gray and Mirage.
Their
so
upper end is
you
more, I would say, toolbox. Between
yes,
Rosemon, Mirage, and Shine, you kind of do different things. And one addition is that their level 5 does evo into any of the sixes for free.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, which is
The
like
Lily or the Lilamon.
mhm. Maybe they're
Yeah,
in just
so
waiting room for other Data Squad stuff, but
yeah.
who knows? Yeah.
But the
Okay.
thing is, like, they still have because they're new cards. They have Arts Evo. The burst mode, the Shine Gray burst mode can digivolve. It can't burst digivolve on anything other than Shine, but
Hmm.
it can just normal digivolve on top of your level 6 data squads. And if you use the egg, you're evoing for 3. So you can swing, use the egg, evo into burst mode, and then trigger burst mode's effect. It does give all your Marcuses
Okay.
rush. So, and you are establishing multiple Marcus Thomases. So it's just slightly slower. It doesn't have a clean cut, like clear your opponent's entire security on turn 2 or 3 kind of style. It's more of a slower kind of deck, but all of your top end has protection because all your level 5s have the same inherit, which gives them protection. It's just one layer of protection is not enough for your stack. And I also don't think they have access to gain rush in the deck. So you're trading your top end for more toolbox effects. The Mirage is incredibly sticky, So like it has evade, it has unsuspend, and it has a protection inherit. So it's pretty hard to remove Mirage. And if Mirage lives, well then now you're able to potentially present lethal the next turn. So it just has a different idea behind what it's doing. But it's not like so incredible like
Is it
it's
better than
like Deep
something like
Break.
Titamon? Is it
I
better
don't know
than
about I don't know about in
Ultras?
between any of these other decks on the tier, but I just know it belongs in B.
Okay. And
Yeah.
Marshmallow,
I know
you
it
said
belongs
the
here. I just don't
list.
know where.
Do you
Yeah, I mean
have any
that's
comments?
it. Just feels bad because this deck has two direct analogs, which is Beat Break. It's like compatriot with the structure deck, and then Shine. It's compatriot and like all the support that it's received prior to this, and it just does both of their jobs worse, which is why I feel like it's worse than it actually is. The deck is fine. It's just why would you be playing it instead of Beat Break if you wanted to use like the cool Tamer interaction and like very similar effects until you get to the top end, which I think Beat Break just has a better top end than Data Squad does.
Mhm.
Or why would you be playing any of the Data Squad stuff when you could just be playing a more svelte package with all like the Marcuses and Shines that I think synergize together way better than the Data Squad stuff does currently. In the future, there might be some support that comes out that makes the deck click. But like
Yeah.
Kupo said, I think it's the BT25 stuff that matters the most to like make these decks stand out right now. And Data Squad just does not have anything that makes it really stand out that Shine or Beat Break don't do better.
Okay. B, but it's by what I was hearing, it doesn't sound like a bad B tier deck. So maybe just put it around here.
Sure.
Uh, Now we have Mirage, which is also connected to Data Squad. What do you guys say about Mirage? Pure Mirage. I mean, you still have one of the restricted Mirage that floodgates memory on your opponent's turn. Well, all turns. Is playing pure Mirage a thing, or is it a meme? Do
So it was a meme last format, but it got a whole line in
Yeah, got
BT25. It's
it
actually
did.
good.
Yeah, I mean,
The level 5 Moscow is incredibly good.
most cards that came out in BT25 are at a already like baseline balanced or better power level, and we could just see by which decks we put into here versus here. So to say that this deck is not B would mean that Bandai really screwed up on the Mirage support, but I don't see anybody playing this deck. So either people don't believe in it or they just didn't want to bother building and testing it.
I think
I
it's
think
just
it's the
still in
latter.
pending, yeah, pending
Yeah.
mid waiting room, waiting for a new burst mode, which we know is inevitable, and yeah, further data squad stuff to further integrate what Mirage landscape looks like. But the old engine, old gameplay with just some added new stuff doesn't take it any further or higher at the current moment. But yeah, not to write it off yet until other stuff comes out.
Yeah, it's just
For
not
now, I
cool
would
right
still,
now.
yeah.
It was in Greymon tier, but with the new support now it's in mid because
Yeah.
it is actually playable now. Like the new line is very good. The Mock Galgamon is incredibly good. It's a Mock Galgamon that you swing with, and then he unsuspends himself and has protection on a level 5, and then you can evo the Mirage and you keep going. Like it's playable.
Okay.
It's just not fun though. It's like the issue. I think that
No,
it's why you're not seeing it.
no.
Like it doesn't change. The deck hasn't changed. Like the deck has been the same since BT like 10, BT 11. It hasn't really done much of anything. I don't think the new support makes it like stand out. I think that's one of the reasons why even the deck is like fine. It just hasn't seen much testing.
Okay. Valid. I guess mid it is. Next we have the Bears deck, topped by Marsmon and Kalismon. We have Mars to represent that. Which tier do we put this in? Because this deck is not a bad deck. It hasn't been played too much at Eagle's Nest, but it does have some very good opponent's turn interaction, like we were talking about with Dianamon being so good at that. The Kalismon has an all turns too. What do we have to say about the Bears brothers?
It's at least a B tier deck, and I think it really just mogs Zafagamon, unfortunately. Poor Zafaga exists, and then everyone starts stealing its like only unique effect, which is to battle your opponent. And here we are with Zafaga in Z tier, and then like decks like Deep Break that have the effect, and Mars that have the effect. I think just tiers above it.
Yeah, and it
The
just
deck can also
go ahead.
win from a completely empty board. So, like, if you put your opponent to, if you get them down to 1 and your board is empty, you just win because you can just option play Mars. Mars has rush, then you swing, and that's it. He battles anything, wins battle because he's going to be massive, trash the last security. So he can just win at 1. If if you make a stack and it lives, then you can win from 5, depending on what the stack is. So the range that this deck has can really surprise people, um, because of its ability to trash security. It's also important to note that Marsmon's ability lets any of your Digimon battle, which is why I say this deck has so much reach, because if you make a stack and it lives, you can swing the damage with that stack on the following turn. If your opponent has anything to interact with, you play Mars and you'll just burn all the rest of their security. So you basically say that your opponent can't put a Digimon on the board if they want to survive a turn, in which case you just build another stack. and you wait.
W-
So but it
Was
does
it
run that weakness, right? It's a green deck that wants to battle stuff. So if your opponent doesn't put anything to battle, you can still get your effects by winning battle by checking security. And if it's a security Digimon, then you still get your effects there. But you won't be able to burn the security before the swing connects to win on the same turn.
I want to ask
But
this
yeah.
question to V Passion. What does it take to move the Bear Stick Marsmon Callus up to A tier?
Um, I think this deck is also dependent on your opponent playing on into your game plan, and if they're lack of knowledge or so, and they do play into your game plan, you get taunted, or have things to battle. It does push it to high power, but given experience and matchup knowledge, and your opponent doesn't fold into your game plan, and they actually play around your game plan or try to set up to counter against it, then they'll have a chance for sure. But it is. It does damage. It can clean the game,
Mhm.
but I still feel, yeah, it
It's
still stays like
it's
very high end balance.
it's pretty predictable. You're either gonna go into Mars or Callus, and you just only have to play around two cards essentially.
Hmm.
Okay, so the Callus and the Marsmon great synergy together, very strong, but it's not something where some decks just can't answer it. It's more so, do you know what you're doing against this deck?
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
very
if you
very
play
good
into it,
deck.
yeah, they generally just win most of the matchups if you just play into what they do.
Okay, we're good with B for him.
Bears are a noob stomper. Like
Yeah, for
if
sure.
you don't know what Bears does, you'll just get you get knowledge checked by the deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
has anybody here played Galactic? I haven't. I've played against it. I am always confused by this deck. I hate getting my The crazy thing is when multiple of your tamers get removed by a level 5 that like cost 2 memory for them to go into. I'm just like, huh? How is that fair? Like this deck can sometimes take so much advantage that you can't claw back the game anymore. But other times it's just too slow to end. Uh, Obviously we've all played against the deck. Where do we feel Galactic is? Let's start with Marshmallow, since you were the last person to not talk.
Okay. Uh, it's Tamer Hate's really nice, as we say. It's pretty good, consistent wise. Like it's able to get into its God, Galacticmon. I think it's the name of the boss monster is. It's Galacticmon pretty consistently. It's able to make use of like its immunity pretty well because I think it's immune to all effects.
Yeah.
So it's not like a bad deck. It's just
If you don't have your cannon, the option that lets you then trash all their security, you're not really winning the game at all. You're just slow.
true. And like even if you have the cannon, your opponent can play around it pretty well. And if you don't kill them the turn after you get your immunity, you're just like a sitting duck. Like you have some protections, but you're not doing much really. And that
Well,
feels
I think it just
bad.
demands that you Evo into another one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just demands you have another one to wait another turn.
Is the deck like playable but not easy to win a tournament with, or is it like not recommended to play this deck in tournament? Because I feel
I
like
think
it's
it's
not
absolutely playable.
terrible.
It's not bad, no. It's at I think it's B. I think it's B. It
It's
just
in B and it's in freaking Emblem waiting room.
yeah,
yeah,
the emblem does do a
Like
lot for the deck. So
Is
and
it
the
the
stacks
three
are
cost
pretty.
or two cost emblem?
it's a 3 cost emblem.
3 cost Emblem.
Think yeah.
Oh,
Once
that's
you build your
interesting.
galactic,
Go ahead, V Passion.
you yeah, you build your galactic, you'll gain your immunity most of the time, and then end of your opponent's turn, you'll evo into another galactic to do some more board things. And if it's outed, you could kind of assemble or rebuild back into galactic for not too much, and it having the tamer deletions, and then it's also just really like frustrating to play on webcam because like your opponent will have this huge long stack of galactic, and then you don't know what inheritables they have, so it's like a constant check through webcam. So it's whatever. But aside from that, I still think it had some tools to contend, but definitely not as high power as or you can't get carried by it, and still have to yeah pilot it well and yeah.
Assuming it gets its emblem during, I don't remember like when those promo cards come out. because if it gets its emblem in this format, then I think it could be better. But if it's not getting its emblem for ever, then we'll be a little sad.
All right.
Well, actually, wait. It's in the next tournament pack.
So
Yeah,
this
the
June.
promo Eugen, the Digi Seabass, Ragnarok Container, Raycatzer. Yeah, it's a 6 card thing for like locals or whatever.
Okay.
So whenever the next one is. So if it's coming out tomorrow
Okay.
or the day after tomorrow or whatever, you can start getting the emblems.
Let's just make sure we all
Maybe
agree
a
on
little bit
this.
higher.
Marshmallow, we're saying balanced. What do you think?
Yeah, I think B is fine.
Okay. Kupo, you really wanted Chaosmon added to the list. You don't
This
think
deck
it's
is
a meme
real.
deck.
It's not a
Go
meme.
ahead and
It's
lead
not.
the
It's not a meme
conversation why
anymore.
you think it's the best deck in the format.
Okay, I don't know if they printed a Chaosmon Tamer, we could maybe talk about it. But unfortunately, this deck is missing one of
Which
3
tamer is
card
the deck
types.
using?
BT1 TK.
That's pretty funny.
Damn.
So if they printed an actual XL Tamer, I think this deck legitimately is like high power, like very very good.
Almost there.
But that's a hypothetical. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have the XL Tamer. So I'm playing BT1 TK,
It
man. Like
it
what am
it
I
is
doing?
a
But
level 7 DNA deck you have to compare to
yeah.
here and here. Where do you think it measures up to
So
these two?
so I think it is still in. I think it's in the same tier. Like legitimately, the new Commandramon line. So the Commandramon, Sealsdramon, Tankdramon. Push the deck. Like they're basically custom cards. They push the deck so high. The fact that if you reveal a 6 off the Tankdramon, you can play that level 6 for 2 memory is no other deck in the game can play a level 6 for 2 memory. So that's pretty good. It prevents your opponents from digivolving. Like this line does a lot of heavy lifting, and it's what XL needed, right? XL only had 2 rookies before BT25. It only had 2 level 4s, and the level 5s that it had, the Falcomon evolution line for the deck previously was like a bunch of Digimon that had no text, or very little text. It was like gain 3 KDP and that's it, like no effect. So being able to replace those Digimon with these that actually work with the game plan is incredibly good. And Chaosmon is immune to everything. And when you go into it, you're going to do at least 2 checks. Most of the time, you're doing 3 checks. And then you're saying, answer me or you lose. You know, it's just like that's just the gameplay of it. And you can go into Promo Chaos, which is immune to everything, or you can go into Vald or Arm, whichever one's better in the matchup. There
All right.
are, depending on the matchup, Valder is better, you know.
I've
But
played into the deck. It has some. It's a deck that can actually make good use of the ace, and we were saying how aces are not good in the meta, so it can catch people off guard. But then again, if we get enough experience into this deck, we know it's playing the ace, and then it loses its surprise factor. The you have two different chaos mons that are good to evo into. One is the immune one that gives minus 10 KDP. The other one is the Valder arm that suspends two things and stuns the board, and the tamers. So depending on what your opponent's playing, either could be the better choice. I found that playing against it, it's a it's okay to go. It's easy to beat if they go into the wrong Chaos Dramon, and sometimes you don't have a choice because it's just what you drew. So I would not say the deck is high power, and I don't know what kind of tamer you're imagining, but even if it got a tamer, I think it would just be high balanced at best. I don't know if it could make it to high power.
well, you only play Medusamon, so again in the Chaosmon versus Medusamon matchup,
Sure.
it's not bad, but in playing Chaosmon into a bunch of other decks, there's just some decks that just fold to Chaosmon. They can't do anything, right? If you
Okay.
can't interact with this guy, you're gonna take their security. You have blocker, barrier, reboot, redirect, at least one redirect, if not 2 redirects.
Yeah.
And then if you use Singularity of Chaos, he'll blow himself up, trash top security, and partition out 2 bodies, which will de-digivolve, DP minus, suspend the whole board, do a bunch of other effects, right? So if you're not immune yourself, your board's going to get cleared. And even if you are immune, they'll re-DNA into Chaosmon anyway.
I
So there are a lot of decks that don't really have a clean answer to Chaosmon.
I know also Marshmallow has played variants of Chaosmon, maybe not the Excel version. I don't know, you could clarify that. But what do you think about this deck, Marshmallow?
I actually have never played the Excel deck at all or touched any of the bottom end. I play the top end because I'm a Squee player and we made use of Alderaan very well. And then I'm also a Dark Masters player and we made use of Ultimate Chaosmon. And those cards were fine. The new Excel deck, though, if I was going to give any, I guess, comment, it would just be anecdotally, I almost lost a regionals because I went against this deck before I got its new support. It can be very scary at times because they can just go into their level 7 pretty consistently by just playing out a level 6
Before it got its
for
new
like cheap.
support,
So yeah, before
it
it
is
got its new
yeah,
support.
it is
So
incredibly it's way more consistent now with the Commandramon, and you just play Sepia Memory Boost or whatever
Hmm.
to cover your empty slots. But like that Commandramon does so much heavy lifting, right? It's a when moving searcher that also lets you put the card back on top. So if you reveal 3 and you want them all, you just take the one immediately and put the rest on top, and then you can keep draw into them.
Sure. How
So
about
it's
UV Passion? Do you have any insights on this card or deck?
And not much insight since my only interactions of it is like a couple games on DCGO, which is not much data at all. But I would say maybe, there's very few Digimon that gets that Omni immunity, and maybe it's just in a Pioneer room, waiting room that's waiting for someone, maybe Kupo to, configure the build out and pilot it well for it to show its teeth. But yeah, at the moment, kind of just a blank space for it.
Is it a balanced deck or is it mid? Where do we all want to put it? Where do we all want to put it?
I
I
trust
think it's in
Kubo with
B.
my life. So
I think it's in B. I just don't know where. That is why I say like I'm not sure within the tier where it is. But I just know it's there somewhere. Like it's
Okay.
there. The new cards for the deck really are they push the deck to a
Okay.
new height.
BT25 support tends to do that for almost every deck we've talked about that has BT25 support so far, right? Except the only
Well,
exception I think was
doubly so for this deck
Mirage.
because they didn't even have 3 rookies, right? Like they only had 2 different rookies for the
Oh
deck. So
yeah,
like
that makes probably
it
the biggest
needs
difference.
it went from like a deck that only could play 8 rookies to now
Well,
you can actually play 12 if you want.
actually, the level
So
5, the new Tankdramon is the most impressive part of the deck, I
it
think.
is. Yeah. Tankdramon is the biggest. The Commandramon Searcher and the Tankdramon. Those two cards are the reason why the deck feels so much more consistent now.
Okay, next we have Gallantmon. Uh, Personally, I loved playing against this deck. I thought it was very fun to play against. Uh, it used to be a good deck to to play. I mean, Gallantmon X when it came out was probably the best card in the game. And now last time we saw support was 8001, not too long ago. Where does Gallantmon sit?
I'm glad this deck is dead. It cost me a regional. I'm
Is
glad
it
I got
is
power
it
cut by
dead dead?
Jesmon. Then I don't think it's dead dead. Well, actually, you know what? Hold on. Let me finish my spiel real quick. It
Go
might be
ahead.
dead dead. All right. I'm glad I got power cut by Jesmon, and then I'm glad Jesmon got power cut by Medusa, and then I'm glad that Medusa's getting slowly power cut by all the other decks around it. Okay. I hated every single red deck that we've had for like the last like year and a half. And you know what? Why would you play Gallant right now over even Jesmon? Realistically.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
I haven't seen Gallantmon do anything ever since. I mean, what really happened? Because they didn't limit the Greymon X or the Growlmon
it
X.
was the loop deck they tried to limit. It was the
Yeah.
rush and the security attack Growlmon.
So Gallant went from being like the king to just slowly being power crept out of the game.
Just because there's other red decks. Yep.
Well, because
Yeah.
like the decks that came out when Gallant was king, it was like Genku Turtle was like considered like a pretty good deck. Royal Knights was like considered a good deck. People were still playing like Leviamon. Like I remember I was at the regionals where Leviamon and it was Gallant as like the finalists, and then literally next month, Huddy came out, and I mean we know how that went. Huddy became
Yeah.
the new monster. Gallant was not able to keep up in any meaningful capacity, and then power creep has not been kind to the deck since.
So if Gallantmon's not an F tier, it's quickly heading there. Are we gonna put it in F, the
I
first
would
deck in
say
the
it still
list?
has some legs. It's not like completely dead. Like the new Warp Gallant stuff is, semi nice to get some immunity and do some checks. But I think in today's climate, there's just so much Digimon immunity, stuff that benefits from being deleted. That Gallant's main form of removal.
Yeah, and it's really just removing once, whereas other decks, if they remove, they're doing it multiple times, so they can get around the once per turn protections.
Yeah, but Gallant, this new Gallant does have, I think, two layers of
Yes, two.
removal.
Two
It
removals.
does remove it twice.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I mean they could still do their checks. Gallant X, Trash, Unsuspend, Swing, Omni X, do those finishers. But just maybe not as fast as some of those quick turn kill decks at the moment. But it's still, I would not put it in Greymon tier or Meme tier. It's still probably between somewhere upper end to
It's
mid or
mid.
something.
It's mid. It's also an EX13 waiting room. It's a Royal Knight. It cannot be bad
Mm-hmm.
until maybe it's not very good right now, but it's getting more direct support in EX13. So
Pokemon. One of us here has played a Pokemon.
Hi.
Hi, Marshmallow.
Uh, I mean,
In
listen.
your
All
heart,
right.
it's a
Let me.
it's
No,
it's
no,
Eevee.
I can tell you right now. Okay, if
Yeah.
you're going to a nationals or a regionals event, okay, and you know that every one of your opponents is going to be on Lucemon, this is an S tier deck. It's actually like 100% win rate matchup. You're not going to have any problems. You're going to win easy. Okay.
Yeah.
If you run to Medusa, though, you die. And every other deck, you're relying on tax tamers to survive and win. And those tax tamers are really good. Kingdom Crier, fantastic. Kari, the 2-cost purple one, very good, just for stealing memory. Digimon Emperor is a solid card that I think that people are underrating because it's kind of fallen out of favor post Uka's no longer being as popular. But with how many when moving rookies exist right now in the format, I think it's a solid meta call. And the engine itself is cool. It's not bad. There you go.
Okay. So it's not bad. Is it balanced, or is it mid? Needs quite a bit
It
more support.
Man, I would love another promo card. I would love another promo card. Uh, it needs some support for
I
sure.
mean, it doesn't have a tamer, and that's what Kupo was saying that Chaosmon needed. What if you got a
Yeah.
tamer, right? So there are it has potential, but and also it puts cards into security. Those cards want to be checked. So many decks trash security now, right? Or they're immune. They don't care about those effects. So even its main game plan is, even if you have the speed that other decks have, the main game plan is underwhelming. It needs a lot of tech. Okay. So are we good with C or something? Anybody have any comments?
I'm so happy with C,
All
unless
right.
someone wants to
Okay.
say otherwise.
C is good.
The last deck here, it was an
Putty loop.
accident because um, I meant for it to be this Shakumon, but I used this image and then I couldn't remove this one. So let's just say Shakumon Tribal. Is
Okay.
Shakumon
Leave
Tribal
him
F
in
Oh,
tier?
Gravy. We need someone to fill that spot,
16.
and
B,
he's
We have three DNA Shakumons now, though. We have BT16, BT23, and BT25. So I mean, it is possible to make the deck, but I mean, are we? Is that a real thing?
People have tried
I'm
it. I've tried it. I have tried to make
imagining
it
it.
with BT16, Cody TK Tamer, right? Like that Tamer is disgusting. It has Digivolve on it.
Yeah, Tamer with Digivolve
Lets
is
you
pretty
play
good.
lets you play Armadillo or Pata for free, right?
It
It's the Davis Ken
well, it's
equivalent
out
for
of
Shaco, but
BT16 tamers. It's like if you in a vacuum, it's the best tamer because Digivolve on a tamer is quite a bit better than stripping three sources. But
yeah,
unfortunately, the deck as a whole, it's always been lacking. Three Shakumons though, and all of them being playable. Um, why not, guys? Somebody could build a deck, but it's just
someone needs to cook.
yeah. All right, we'll
Yeah,
put it in
unfortunately,
F
I think
tier because it's not
BT16.
even been attempted, at least at Eagle's Nest. Maybe somebody somewhere did it once, but we don't even know. All right, that's our
Yeah.
tier list. Are there any?
I'm sure there's plenty of decks that we haven't done. Like All Force.
Oh yeah, we
Nobody. All Force would go in
Okay.
Greymon tier. That deck
Yeah.
hasn't gotten
We don't need
support in
to.
forever.
Listen, we don't
well,
need that many decks to be put in Greymon tier. I think
Yeah,
we'd be bullying people right now.
yeah.
There's a lot of decks that
yeah,
would go
yeah,
in
yeah.
Greymon
True.
tier.
We we didn't even set out with the intention of there being a Greymon deck. It was just meant to be a silly reminder that most of the decks are actually pretty good right now. Um,
yeah.
but is there any shifting we want to do before we close this out?
Mhm.
I think moving decks between tiers
No,
is just a waste of time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it looks fine. So
it's
agreed.
maybe the Habakiri S, or is it still A? We all good with everything?
I think Habakiri focused between the UR and the SR and the starter deck is just not tested because people are having so much
Right.
success with Atratus. So
If
why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, if the meta becomes very option removal, these two could very much reverse like that maybe. So it just depends because the meta is always evolving until the new sets come out. But for now, it is the way it is. We have
Yeah,
Beat
yeah.
Break is the best, and Habakiri, it could make Beat Break still the top deck if option removal becomes very prevalent. Yeah, okay, we're good with this. Thank you, Kupo. Thank you, Marshmallow Ruffian, and thank you, VPassion, for helping me with this tier list. And honestly, you guys carried it. I was just here to do the screen sharing. And we'll be back with more Eagle's Nest content. Join the Eagle's Nest server for some tournaments and some Digimon discussion. And I'll link the profiles to my friends here in the details, the YouTube description. See you guys later.